No swearing, Bren. Go.
Everybody, I'm welcome to Plat Chat VALORANT episode 141. My name's Bren, and I'm hosting the show today. Let's go. Let's go. Woo!
You know, some of the very early, like, videos they do on YouTube to tell you how to make a good video say, make sure the first 5 seconds of your audio makes sense and is good for listeners. Otherwise, they'll click off the video.
What did that sound like?
It just sounded like a man very far away from a mic.
We got TMV on for this episode for a portion of it. Thank you, TMV. The reason we're late. Okay, chat. First of all, I want you to put your best guesses in the chat of why we were late.
Oh, if anyone watches my streams, they'll know.
Yeah, but also, I'm not reading the chat, so I don't know if any of those takes are correct. And also, I know they're not going to be correct because you're going to be saying, "Oh, Wilkinson was playing badminton. Wilkinson was playing badminton." We were late because
we said it in chat already before. So.
Go on, finish the punchline anyway.
There wasn't really a punchline. The punchline, it was just me. I was the reason we were late.
We're watching Barbenheimer.
Yeah, I was at the Barbenheimer premiere. It was sweet. It was like 4 hours long. It was really long.
Nice. Did you enjoy it?
No.
Did you like it when Ken got nuked?
No, that was sad.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's kind of crazy that nukes exist, like, as a concept. Should we talk about that?
Let's do 3 hours on nukes.
I don't really understand them, but isn't it like literally cutting an atom?
It's just wild how they just release a bunch of energy, like, and it's like massive.
That's
That freeze pipe ad's
It's
going
crazy.
a bit early.
It's crazy. I promise you, I have not been hitting the pipe. I have not been hitting the freeze pipe.
It does feel like it. Does feel like it. It feels like you went to watch the Barbie movie, thought it was the Oppenheimer movie, and were very confused throughout.
I'm just in a funny, silly, goofy mood. I don't know what to tell you.
Good.
You guys want to talk about some Valorant stuff? Type 1 in the chat if you do. It's the Champs groups. They've been released. Woo! I was reading some comments reflecting on you know, the tweet that somebody put out where somebody posted a video of my rant about it being an FPS game and you're going to get shot in the face. And I was looking at the quote tweets, and there's a large portion of the Spanish community that hate the overreacting shouting gringos of our show. And they specifically pointed out me and you, Josh, as the shouting gringos. And this got nothing to do with the Champs groups, but I just got reminded of it. But the Champs groups got released, and we know what they are. We know what teams are playing. Kurt, but you pull up the graphic, pull up the VLR page, bring out the ocean. What is this? And what is this? Show me the groups. PaperX, DRX, T1, Loud. We got teams. I'm just listing off teams now.
They were doing a live group draw at the end of the crew winning LCQ. And only half the people even remembered that it was happening, so only half of the crowd stuck around, and they were all clustered around the casting area because people had been doing signings or stuff, and they were watching the way that the group draw is done. For anyone who didn't watch the video, you remove a ball from a group, and then they add it to the group that it's going to be in for champions. But if it's in the same region as somebody else, they bump it along, and it was just impossible to keep track of. And yet the crowd was still oohing and eyeing at every decision. And then I asked them, can you guys remember which group that even is? And they were like, no. Yeah, that was funny.
It's just should have asked them if they even cared anyways, because Sentinels is not playing.
I mean, they were thinking about it from Crew's perspective, I think, because we'd just seen them win LCQ, and they're in a nasty group. Yeah, I saw a lot of reactions being like, Group D is the group of death. I think Group A is the group of death, personally.
Yeah. Group D is the group of disappointment, is what Group D is.
That's so true.
It's teams that should be good, but we'll see, I think.
Yeah.
And two of them are going out, and
I completely agree
people
with
are
that.
going to be hot takes.
How ridiculous is that? The Group D is the group of disappointments. It has the team that won EMEA. It has the team that won Americas. It has the team that always wins Pacific, though didn't specifically this time, and another team that's won Champions before, won Masters tournaments before.
I mean, Team Liquid shouldn't even be in that conversation. I mean, as like a disappointment. It's the rest of them that are just like so disappointing.
Well,
I
Team
think
Liquid are quite fraudulent.
Sure, but at least you start the year horrible, and then you like have a nice uplifting story.
Build,
you know, like it's a nice build up, and then the rest of them are just like we should be good, and then they just
Yeah. We really are in the Great Depression era of Valorant. It's like we have just entered a downswing in just these teams' performances. But yeah, Group A looks nasty. Liquid are a fraud team. I'm entering Madumarak. EG gonna win it all.
We're going to talk about the loud rumors later on when Sean's on, because he was vibing with Slasher talking about stuff online. But if they're losing every scrim as well, and they come in and they bomb like they did at Tokyo, I mean, that is just going to be the worst group. It really will feel disappointing because you expect those matches to be absolutely banging, and they're just not.
DRX versus Loud, where both teams are just on the absolute worst swing of form they've ever had.
Yeah, that should on paper otherwise be a banger matchup. Think of the history. I mean, how many times have those two teams played each other? Is it like twice now as well? In like very.
They played once.
They played at a lock-in semi-finals.
Yeah,
didn't they? Sure. And they. I'm thinking of Optic. I think.
I'll tell you right now. Lock in and then champs. That's it.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even remember them being banger matches, were they?
Lock-in was pretty good because DRX almost reverse sweeped.
Yeah.
Almost. That was a pretty good match.
It was a good match. We can't see it, Josh.
Yeah, sorry. I recall it now. I remember that they flopped in the final map. Yeah. It looked like they were going to pull it off, and then they flopped at the end, and it left a bit of a sour note in my mouth. But also, look at this group that has FPX, T1, and Foot in it. I mean, who did they pay? But that is an easy group. That's a group that EG should absolutely smack around. And then that's a group where it's like you've been offered a massive opportunity to try and get out if you're like a Foot or maybe an FPX that has
always a group though
a shot at upsetting.
A team has a sneaky good run. And it's usually out of those groups where people have like you can't tell through the group stage how good the team is at that point until they get into the playoffs, and then they beat the team they weren't expected to beat. Like this, I feel like this happens at most events, where we have just one. Well,
specifically Champions when we have 4 groups. Like I remember Champions 2021, there was like a guaranteed minor, like back then minor region SDA team that was making it out based off of like the first match because it went in a different way, and it was like guaranteed one of the regions that have never made it out of groups have made it to like deep runs. It was. Just by nature of the group draw. I don't think that's the case here, though.
I think someone lobotomized me overnight. I genuinely have forgotten how to host. How do I tee this up?
I think you've been doing great. I think we've been leaving you out to dry, and it's been hilarious because it's just been a Bren stream of consciousness. It goes so hard.
What do you want to keep talking about the groups?
Well, I wanted to look at the group, right? Okay, look at the group. There's 2 games that include the LCQ teams that we're going to talk about that I want to kind of like preview here just a tad before we talk about them properly. And the first one is that Paper X Crew game. I think that's actually going to be a banger. We get something actually within the roster, being able to see how he plays. And also the way that Crew play is like anti-aggression. Like they're going to try and punish Paper X for doing their thing. And that's going to be a killer matchup because you've got the weaker team on paper playing a style that counters the, in theory, better team, which can end up equalizing things massively. You either see Paper X going and like brute forcing their way through stuff, or having to make the adjustment, or losing even though they are a really good team because they match up stylistically really poorly. We don't actually know that Crew are still going to be in great form, but I think that's a great matchup. The other one that I think is really sick is a potential Zeta NRG match, because Fnatic are wiping the floor with Zeta, and NRG are probably wiping the floor with Billy as well, although maybe that'll be quite cool. But at some point, I feel like we're probably likely to get this Zeta NRG game. And that to me is really interesting, because you got one on a hot streak and the other in, good territory, but not great. And they're expected
they're not as good as they used to be, NRG. They're not at the same peak.
I think that might end up being good.
Well, I think on a hot streak when Fnatic went 13-2, 13-3.
well, they've been able to rebound before in the past. They got absolutely flattened in the opening games of the run that they went on.
Can we flip all the logos upside down in power rankings?
What?
Later?
Yeah,
in the power rankings? Can we flip all the logos upside down?
Well, if we flip them all, then it just seems rude.
What do you mean?
We should flip them all. We should flip them all, and then we should leave Zeta's the right way up, and then flip the entire thing.
Okay, I think Group A is it has the best matches. That's my take. Look at the group again.
Sure.
Everybody, close your eyes, visualize it real quick. Look at the group. Think about it. Think about the Paper X Crew matchup. Josh has already set it up. Think about EDG Giants. Josh, you're not closing your eyes. Close your eyes.
Though.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, honestly, Paper X EDG is kind of funny. Like, just
Visualize
having
it.
that again.
Yep. Visualize all these matches.
I don't think
Group A.
EDG Giants is going to be a good game.
I think it's going to be a good
I
game.
think EDG are absolutely going to wipe Giants out.
You really?
You know,
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
I
Also,
think so too.
I've been hearing flutters from little birdies. But can I open my eyes yet, or should I still?
Yeah, you can open your eyes. Everybody can open their eyes now.
Okay. Everyone can open their eyes.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
good.
okay.
I've been hearing flutterings from little birdies in the Pacific Division that EDG have been wiping the floor in scrims with everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, including the top teams in Pacific, including Paper X playing with something. Now, I don't know how accurate these are. I haven't been sitting in on all of the scrims, and it didn't specifically come from a Paper X or EDG player. So there may be some speculation there on the behalf of the Pacific source. But EDG are apparently looking unbelievably giga nasty.
Mm-hmm.
So not a player, but a coach. All right, cool. Bet.
No, it could have been either.
What do you mean? You think that came from a coach?
I think it came from EDG's coach.
I think EDG would have always been a team, though.
No, it didn't come from.
No?
No, what I mean
collaborate?
is it didn't come from someone in the EDG or Paper X camp.
Yeah, I can
It
corroborate
comes from
and
someone
collaborate
outside.
with
That's why
this.
I'm saying that. Yeah.
There's he's spitting right now, and I can safely say it was a player that nobody expects that was saying this.
Jesus Christ.
So there's a lot to look forward to. I think Group A is gonna have the best matches. Anyway, enough about the groups. I've just been floundering on this topic. Let's talk about some teams. Let's talk about the next one. ZETA Division! Woo! Yippee! Go undefeated in Pacific LCQ. I watched 12 hours of VODs yesterday on stream to catch up on LCQ, and I watched too much ZETA Division. And I gotta say, this team is okay. They're okay.
Oh, that's
They're
painful.
literally just
That's
okay.
No, I think that's a good description for them, though. I think they are okay. They're like, I think Pacific was very much a region where a lot of the teams were quite up and down, right? You'd get like 1 week they were pretty good, and then the next week, who knows, right? Like they could flop quite easily. Zeta were, I think, a steady team. They, kind of, they're okay. But then the one thing that they did, and I think this was maybe like a topic later on, but I'm just gonna skip ahead, was Laz Chamber. Did I?
No, you're
Fuck
good.
Am I on?
You're fine. You're fine.
I just went, my whole thing just fell apart. Okay, anyway, Laz's Chamber. I was so confused then. Laz's Chamber, I think, has bumped this team, to a different kind of level, because it just, I don't know, it just awoken in him. And I made a video about it today. But Laz's Chamber, I've never been excited to watch Chamber before. Oh, I'm getting a loading screen.
It's
oh,
all right.
I'm here.
You're still
Fine.
there
You're
the
still
whole time.
loading.
Hello. I'm still loading.
No, you're here. We can see
This
you.
is a mess. Okay, I'm good. Laz's Chamber, it made me excited to actually watch a Chamber for the first time in history, because he's moving all this stuff about. He's picking up his little TP, he's putting it somewhere else, particularly on attack side, because on attack side Chamber, normally you just sit there and do nothing, you wait until you get bored and then move. But Laz is like, he's picking up his TP, he's picking up his trap, he's moving them about all over the place, and he's just finding mega value. And I don't know if he just got the I'm playing Chamber confidence as well, but he was just destroying it
I think it's
anytime he picks that agent.
But also, it's when the thing that kills me with Zeta Division is Laz on Chamber, he has the confidence to be proactive, like you're saying. He's moving around his Uto and he's taking space, which is the antithesis of Zeta Division at their core. Zeta Division are the Ents in the forest. They have been rooted to the floor over thousands of years. I'm watching them play split on attack side, and I am begging Team Secret to just stop inting into them. I'm like praying to God watching this VOD that Team Secret will just stop inting into Zeta Division, who are just holding the most passive default ever on their attack side split. They are just holding the line. The equator's here, and they never move beyond this point until until like at least a minute 15 on is passed on the clock. But when Laz is on Chamber, he has confidence and he actually wants to take space when he's in that lurking role. Like here on Split, he's playing the Viper, but he doesn't actually. He's not proactive at all when he's playing that. He's genuinely just holding space around A and they're just waiting for Team Secret to push into them, which they did for about 50 rounds in a row. I mean, an exaggeration, of course, but genuinely, I cannot believe how much this map was just tossed by Team Secret. It was insane, but. When he's on the Chamber, he has a lot more confidence and he's playing much more proactive. And I think that is just, it just feels like a completely different Zeta division where there's just, instead of just them waiting for teams to react, to make the first move and then them punishing it, it's Laz either finding an opening or taking some space actively. And then with that space, Zeta are just making much more concrete decisions. They'll either be pump faking like another site as well, forcing rotations, and then pivoting to where Laz has already pushed and taken space, or playing off of his picks more. It just unlocks the next, just a different play style for Zeta Division, which is what has elevated them from otherwise what would have been, I think, just a bad team into an average team now.
It's so interesting watching Zeta rounds because when they played all the way back, when they were first making their run in Reykjavik, this slow-paced approach was working for them. And it was the biggest change that they'd made compared to their previous playstyle. The previous playstyle was super quick. They were one of the fastest teams playing in... I mean, at the time, was Japan separate from the rest of Pacific? I think it was. Yeah. But they were one of the fastest teams. And they just slowed it down to an absolute snail's pace. And it works so well in the Pacific division. Because a lot of the teams are really antsy and love to push and try and make plays. They've got a tough group, though. So I don't know that that's really going to work for them at Champions. They're going to be playing against NRG and Fnatic. Those teams are not particularly antsy.
I mean, I think the LCQ run showed me that they actually aren't just that anymore. And that's kind of what makes them hard to play against. For example, what you're saying, Brent, about Team Secret just inting into them. I think, some of the split rounds in particular, too, they had... not fast, but set executes that would come at not 10 seconds left on the rounds where they're holding defaults the entire time. It was a lot more grouped up. Let's wait for 10 seconds, see if they do anything, and they hit nasty, nasty hard executes, which is not something that they did before. It's not like the pace has been crazy increased, but they have more depth to the strat book, and I think maybe it's because Laz plays Chamber in some cases, but I also just think that is something that they've been working on. It's not always just sit there, wait for a while, then dog through, follow the dog, which, by the way, they're still one of the best, follow the drone teams out there. I don't know why, but they are, and they constantly just find kills. Maybe it's because they're playing in Pacific. But either way, they have more depth to their strat book than I think they've ever had, and that could be good. I think they're, a peg up from what I watched in Pacific this year. And that's on top of last playing Chamber. Even with that, I think even more, they're better.
I mean, that's the main talking point.
Yeah, they're playing double. They're playing double duelist on Lotus, and a lot of those attacking rounds are just in we go. Double duelist, find the first kill like this, first kill within the 10 seconds. So yeah, I agree, Bola. I think they've definitely got more, but they've drawn a short straw playing Fnatic first.
Yeah,
I mean, the short straw.
I don't think their group is completely unwinnable, though. Right?
No, I don't think it is.
NRG could be in not great form, and then they also have the opportunity to do it again. And I think they always have kind of. I don't know. To me, they still seem like a team that will play better in the second attempt than prior. That's just probably remnants of Reykjavik, but it still has held true for me in the past, especially when their players are actually in decent form. Depp is crazy good right now. Even some of the attack side opping stuff, I was super excited about, and I was saying this guy should do this a lot more. And the fact that Sugar Zero has some confidence right now, and he's not just sitting in the back and not doing anything, he's actually going for some of those classic smoke plays. That stuff, as long as that's happening, then I think they actually have a chance.
That's a good point. Sugar Zero is also one of the bright spots of this team. Still, I think that. I don't know. He's very proactive with using good smokes to help players that are just trying to anchor onto sites, and getting funky with it. Where he'll just be, he's just very good with his util. I think that's one of the things I've been trying to pay more attention to is when controller players are actively thinking about how they're helping their team, because it's something that a lot of Smokes players just end up missing, where like they have an idea of like, oh, we want to anchor defend this site, but they need a Smoke to do so, and the timing on it is correct, and the util's good, and yeah, Sugar Zero hits the right note. He hits the right notes.
He's the only like dynamic controller player. Like you see him a lot of times just putting like half covered chokes with the Smoke, and that's for, you know, either to get a peek on the open spot or be able to like peek out.
Yeah, they think about it.
That's cool, but it also is, in my mind, a lot of times what like ruins Sugar Zero and makes him like not that good, because he in some cases when he does that. But I do like the dynamic ability of him, and I think that's the unique thing that he needs to lean in towards and not stray away from, even though sometimes it's bad.
Are we gonna get into the chamber meta? Is this it? Has Laz proven that we're entering a chamber meta? Because I watched 12 hours of VODs last night. About 7 of them was ZETA Division, and I'm watching Laz, and after the games, it's like 1:15 a.m. and I get done, and I'm like, I want to play some ranked. Worst experience of my life. Worst experience of my life. I played 2 ranked games. They were both on Pearl. First one, I'm like, I said in my chat, I'm like, my brain is dead. My brain is mush. I just want to lock Jet and just run it down. I get into the game. My team not coming. Insta-lock Reyna. Insta-lock someone else. I'm like, somebody locks Brim. My Brim didn't use an ability until round 8. They didn't smoke until like round 8 in the game. I ended up locking Sky because I was like, I said to my chat, I was like, I was gonna Jet. I didn't have it in me to lock it. Horrible game. At the end, you know, I had some guy saying that classic thing that teammates do, was like, Sky, yo. Can I swear yet? Sky, like, you know, at the end of the map when the fucking I was holding it in. The map's ending and people just go, they just like say their piece at the end, like, because they know the map's about to end, because they're fucking little cowards. They're fucking cowards. It was like, Sky, you fucking dog shit. And I'm like, dude, I was actually doing charity work playing that fucking map. I was playing charity work. And then the next game, I go on the Pearl, I'm like, fuck this. I'm insta-locking chamber. I muted my entire fucking team, and I was fucking cooking. I was cooking with the TPs, I'm telling you. I think chamber has some legs as well. I didn't even see much. I wasn't watching Laz play it on Pearl, but on the additional TP range, no joke, it opens up so much on that map. You can do, you know, that funny angle that that Forsaken likes to play when he plays on B long Pearl, where he tucks into the corner crouched. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? No, I'm not talking like the standard corner, but it's like if you're like facing the attackers coming at you, and like everybody again, close your eyes and visualize right now. Close your eyes and visualize B long for a second, okay? Yeah, everybody. You're B long. You're a defender. You're opping. You're looking at the pillar. You see the attackers. The recoil star goes up, and you know there's like the little cubby where Skies usually dog from when they're attacking. Yeah, it's like there. That's like a little unorthodox spot that a lot of duelist players. You could all open your eyes now. We all know what I'm talking about.
That helped a lot, actually. I was completely on the wrong spot until you made me close my eyes.
I mean, it wasn't the closing eyes. It was you literally saying, "Where Sky's dog from?" That was the key indicator.
That helped you. That helped you though a little bit. Yep. I think it helped the viewers at home as well. Everybody was closing their eyes. I can tell. But that spot there, you put a TP in Link.
Some people listening to Plat Chat whilst driving to work are having the worst time today. They've just been in multiple collisions already. Just driving down the motorway. Brain, when can I open my eyes?
I'm just imagining someone really tired on like a train into work as well, as Brent's just saying, and just close your eyes.
Yeah.
And they just miss their train.
It's like a relaxation podcast. They wake up and we're talking about Loud with Sean. Like, what the hell happened?
Oh. But yeah, you can put a TP there. You can TP out from that angle through Link. You can put it on top of the boxes. You can play on top of the new screens box, or having it on top of the other box as well. So you can TP to escape. You can take first contact. You TP there. Skydog it can't clear you when you're on top of that box when you're close. So you can TP. You can take first contact on it. You can TP. The Skydog can't clear you. Nobody clears you there. I was cooking, bro. Barla's piecing it. He's out of here. But I'm telling you, guys, we're entering a chamber meta. I'm telling you, I think he's much more viable now.
Based off your ranked and experience, where you don't even know what you're doing.
I'm always ahead of the meta game. I'm always ahead of the meta game. What I predict in the server comes to fruition almost 99% of the time.
Name one time.
Now.
Okay, name one time that it was proven true.
I've had instances. I can't recall.
Look, I'm gonna back Bren up. Okay, because Name 2 teams that made out of LCQ. I'll do it. KRÜÜ and ZETA Division. What did both of those teams do? Played more Chamber than a lot of the other teams who disappointed. KRÜÜ playing Chamber on Split, playing Chamber on Haven. ZETA Division playing Chamber on Fracture, playing Chamber on Lotus. We've seen other teams pick it up on Bind. He's going to become a common pick on Bind anyway. So that's 5 maps already. Brent's cooking on Pearl, that's 6.
Yep.
So you're only missing Ascent, which is the most boring boring bullshit anyway. So it's never going to happen on Ascent. And that's 6 out of 7 maps. Chamber's meta, Chamber's back. GG.
Okay, but specifically the Haven comp that KRÜÜ played against Cloud9 was them playing Chamber Killjoy and...
they're playing Paper Rex in their first game. They're gonna pick that comp. Why would they not pick that comp?
Actually, that is a great comp to play against Paper Rex. It really is.
But
that isn't like a
Cypher in there too. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, NRG have done it in the past, right? Where they played. What did they play at that point?
They
Was it
played
Cypher
Phoenix.
Killjoy or something?
They played Chamber Killjoy Phoenix.
Yes,
is what they played. They played no
Double
dive.
Sentinel's pretty
Double
good,
Sentinel.
to be honest.
Yeah, but the fact that ZETA are only playing it on Fracture and Lotus, I was expecting. They pulled it out for the first time, I believe, in that Team Secret game. The first time that they'd clashed in the upper final. And I remember watching that game and thinking, oh, okay, this has really changed my perception of these two teams. Because I thought that this was ZETA unveiling, like, this is what their plan was going to be for maybe the most of their map pool. And so I went into the finals thinking, all right, come on then, which maps has Laz cooked some other stuff for then? Which maps have we seen them play different comps on that Laz is now going to bring the Chamber to? And he didn't. He just played it on Fracture and Lotus again. So that to me felt like a bit of a bait and switch, because I actually thought that Laz was going to show more off than he did. I do think it's super viable on Split. I think it's extremely good for avoiding trap plays on that map. Being able to just walk up mid inside your rendezvous and then get out is super good. I mean, the same thing towards a ramp where you put it in sewers. And Bind, obviously, it's been proven too. I don't think, though, that it's at the point where teams are going to want to commit massive amounts of resources to putting big players into this role, because it also means that on the other maps that you don't play it, you've still got to, like, you know, go back to whatever you were previously doing, and it's going to introduce a lot of role swaps around.
I think any team that's got a Jet one trick should do it. Like, if you've got a player who's like, you know, maybe they can play a couple other agents, but mostly they play Jet, I think you should definitely do it, because I think the map pool is about as bad as it can be for Jet right now. We don't have Icebox, we don't have Breeze. Those are like 100% Jet maps. We've got Lotus, which Jet isn't the best duelist option. Bind, where she's definitely not the best duelist option. And Fracture as well, where she's not the best duelist option. So you got 3 maps there where you could play Chamber, and I think, you know, we talk about teams like, you know, 100 Thieves last week or whatever, you know, with Cryo. Had they, I think, you know, lent into it more, or some of these other teams where you've got like someone who, you know, was a dominant Chamber force last year, but has kind of been a bit quieter, and then maybe that Jet, like they get put on Jet because they got nothing else. I think if you've got a player like that, you should lean into it, because I think it's good enough to do.
I think one of the reasons why people are not fully striving for it is because double duelist is popular right now. So you can play Jet and Raze or some other combination. And that is, like, as a single Chamber, as a single Sentinel, I think that's a very dangerous prospect to go up against. And I think we actually kind of saw some of that based off of some of the split games where Chamber was won, and sometimes like the Bind games as well. Actually, Chamber on Bind, like in LCQ, I don't think it won a game. If I'm not mistaken. I think all the teams that have like, I think KRÜÜ played against the first team, MIBR, and that was basically the only Chamber pick on Bind. Unless I'm trolling, but
there hasn't been a lot of
KRÜÜ didn't play it. KRÜÜ playing the Cypher.
Yeah, everybody's playing the Sentinel that they've been like actually ingraining it. Yeah, Loud. I said LCQ though.
But LCQ.
Yeah, I think all those
with it now.
Like Bind, Split, like some of those where things have actually developed in the meta. It's not like they're missing something or anything like that. Like the Sentinels that are working on that map are working really well. The Cypher on Split that Fnatic is playing, Cloud9 kind of played it as well. Like a lot of that stuff is becoming pure meta, and it's because Cypher or KJ is just good. And the maps that you're trying to get Chamber worked in on is like, I don't know, is the ones that he has to be special on, not just, you know, fixing some role issue that your team has.
Yep.
Yeah, the one thing
I
I
think
like
it's
the
going to be
most
interesting at champs.
with sorry, what did you say?
I think it's just going to be interesting at champs to see which teams opt into it. I think it's more likely that teams that like are trying to get an edge over the top teams do it, rather than some team at the top like meta leading with it.
I do agree with TMV's point about like teams who are specifically built that like don't work in the meta, who don't have a Jet 1 trick or whatever, should run Chamber. But like some teams are specifically built to not play Chamber, like Fnatic right now. Like it'd be crazy to all of a sudden swap Durka back on the Chamber and have Alfear back on Raze, which would work, by the way.
Chamber, mate.
But yeah, Alfear Chamber would probably slap as well. But like those role swaps have happened specifically to like get those players good on the Sentinels that are actually good at the Sentinel role. Not that Chamber's not horrible, but he's not good at that either.
I think
I'm confused though. Who has a Jet 1 trick?
Global
Just going to
esports.
interrupt Bren again.
Dude, I can't say my point.
But like, who at champs has a Jet 1 trick? I can't think of any teams at champs that have one.
Aspas?
Yeah, but he's not. He's not though.
I know, you're
Aspas
right.
isn't.
Okay.
Aspas has a fantastic race.
All right, Mr. Did he
EDG?
play any Jet?
EDG?
EDG,
Surely
get the fuck
not.
out
Come
of
on, fuck
here.
off. No. You're
No,
trolling.
Kankan's been playing a ton of Raze recently. And even if, I mean, they could put him onto Gecko.
No, they're not. No,
Full-time,
they've stopped with the
and he'd
Gecko
still be fine.
experimentation.
I know they have, I know. But what I'm saying is he could still do the opping from that role. So he doesn't need to be playing Chamber for it. I actually can't think of many teams that have Jet 1 trick people.
Yeah,
at the
I
top.
don't. I think most Jet players are being forced to adapt or die. Basically, like you can't just really one trick as much these days. Like even
He's
look
been
at
playing mostly Raids.
like EG put Demon 1 on Brim when they play Fracture. Like it's adapt or die for a Jet player. One of the underrated aspects of Chamber that I don't think people are talking about as much, but it's the teams have gotten very good at conditioning a certain way and enforcing an operator early on in their defensive rounds so that they can just open up the map more. Like if an op is holding one angle, they have complete map control on one section. Makes IGLing a lot easier. You get an op, probably like twice as often if you're running a Chamber in your comp. And some teams, in some instances, they've been running. Actually, have teams been running Chamber Jet, or am I just capping?
No.
Oh, no.
Not really.
You're talking about old Breeze.
Yeah, not really. But if you are forcing just the op with your economy and also your ult at the same time, you have a very high uptime with the op that helps a ton with just general calling and your ideas of what's going on in the map. Makes IGLing a lot easier, is what I've noticed for a lot of teams when I've been watching it play. So I think it's got legs. I think Chamber's got legs. He's got 2 of them. And let's talk about some other teams. Let's talk about drama. Très bien. I love drama. It's French time. It's Scream tweeting about Karmine Corp getting eliminated. Qu'est-ce que c'est? J'ai mangé un pantalon orange. Je m'appelle Brennan. And Scream has tweeted about Karmine Corp getting eliminated. And this is like some high school shit. I'm not gonna lie. This is like him fucking shit talking Nuzera in his like retirement post that's 5,000 paragraphs long, and also saying in the same breath that he wants to go back to CS2 because this game's shit, while also 6 months ago saying that he wanted to fucking win it all in Valorant. Make up your fucking mind. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to play, bro? Come on, get it together. He's a talented player. I want to see the best out of him, but I just think sometimes it's almost like he's had too much success in his life, and he just feels like he can take on the world. And I don't know if he's letting go of this IGLing thing. He said he's not going to IGL next year, right, with this. He said it's most likely not going to be him, but apparently he was doing it again in LCQ, like it was his IGLing style again in LCQ, which probably explains why, again, they were forcing sheriffs and not being able to afford utility in a lot of their maps when I was watching. But I just get so frustrated watching talented players squander their potential. And I think Scream is a class example of this as well, whether it's his fault or not. I don't care whose fault it is. It's just annoying to watch, and I hate watching them, and it makes me hate EMEA as a region.
I don't know if you saw it. They did an interview on the EMEA broadcast with PM, the Karmine Corp coach. and they asked him, like, you know, what we've heard that Scream's IGLing again, you know, why the change? He's there looking like a hostage at that interview. Like, he is sitting there and he's like, well, basically, Scream said he wanted to IGL. And like, that was the explanation, right? Scream said he wanted to do it, so therefore, that just happened.
The part two, though, is he said, oh, I was surprised Scream was IGLing too at the beginning of LCQ. He said, we practiced having Zesht be the IGL, and then on the run-up, you know, I'm not saying the day of LCQ, but like on the run-up to the tournament, Scream said he wanted to IGL. And for the sake of the team, for the good of the team, we had to go along. That's what he said, we had to go along.
He said they tried the no
I thought that was a good
again.
idea.
Yeah, they said they tried the no duelist, and then it was so bad that they had. BM was like, "Please, Scream, please, you have to play duelist, please."
How funny is that they tried? He tried going back to the no duelist comp ideas, and PM had to persuade him not to.
You might not say, "Oh, I don't know if it's your fault, Scream," but it is your fault, Scream. Stop being a fucking moron. Like, seriously,
he's his own worst enemy.
Like, you're right, he's ruining his potential by also ruining 5 other people, include the coach too, and poor org owner who has bought into whatever snake oil you sold him with this team in the first place.
Yep.
Because, bro, like, what? They've literally, I mean, if you watch their games, it was literally the repeats of Melons. Yep. Over and over and over and over.
I didn't think it was as bad as the first time around in the regular season.
Of course, it shouldn't have been that bad. They played a whole season.
That would have been possible.
I know. But I do feel like so maybe it was just having Zesht in allowed Zesht to, you know, do some mid-rounding as well. It's not like when Scream's going to be IGL, he tells Zesht to, like, shut his whole mouth or whatever. He's like sit down, shut up. And he's, like, slapping him every time he talks. Like, he's just going to be, you know, he's still going to be providing input. It's just that Scream's word is the final one. But maybe that was it then. But I did think that it looked better. I just don't think it looks good enough to have that be the way forwards for the team or him as his identity. Like, some people are not in-game leaders. They can be the emotional leader, they can be the team captain, but you don't have to also be the IGL. That's okay.
Decision maker. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Happens. In fact, I would go as far to say that I think Scream is a great emotional leader. I've watched him so many times on Champions runs, especially last year when I thought that team was dog meat, and they just win. And I credit a lot of it to Scream hyping his players up and keeping the energy high. All that shit that's important with being the captain of a team and being the people that people look towards on that team. But you can't make decisions if you're watching the entire VCT with blinders on, with just black sunglasses on that you can't see through at all, because there's so much happening. And he's just like, yeah, I think I can make my own way in the meta when I've never proven myself that I could do that at all. Like, I've never brought out a new agent that actually looked good and had cooked stuff. I've never, like, where is any of his ideas coming from? Because no Navarro on Chamber, which, by the way, would have been fucking goated for this team at this point. Never really cooked except for, like, maybe the Harbor stuff back at Lock-In, and that was half-baked, and they stopped immediately. Like, where is the creativity if you're going to be the guy who's making some decision-making aspects of the team?
Well, they tried to get creative with the Gecko when, you know, Navarro was saying Gecko was the most broken agent since Prime Chamber. I think they've been attempting to be creative with, like, for example, with them trying to break the economy by buying half armor sheriffs all the time. I think that's legitimately hard, and I think that's them trying to be creative. My point They're just creating poo.
Yes, exactly. You've never proven that you can do it correctly. So stop and just copy other people, man.
It's like, but I've been getting into pottery recently, so this metaphor's just sprung to mind, right? You've got Fnatic, who are there, the master potters at the end, and their wheel is spinning, and they're carving beautiful, or, like, you know, turning beautiful things, making such elegant pottery, and they put that to one side. It goes down the row, and you've got like other teams just trying to copy, trying to do the same thing and making worse versions of it. And then the Screamer's got his wheel on max speed and just taking a shit in the middle, and it's just flinging poo everywhere. And he's like, look, it's a masterpiece. C'est magnifique.
Okay. God.
I'm gonna just give Scream a bit of help though here. I'm gonna lend him my hand. I think the way that PM spoke in that interview, like Scream said, he wanted to be IGL, and then it was done. Like a fairy godmother. I think that's a problem within the org as well. That no one is willing to say like, no,
definitely,
like no, just like let's not do that, right? This idea is, we don't want you to do that. There needs to be someone within the org who's just willing to tell Scream, no, we'll be better off if you can just focus on your own game, and you're a very talented player, an amazing player, and and you can, be that emotional leader, and you can still, because he might feel like, we're still struggling even when I'm not the IGL, therefore I need to, I'm the leader of this team, I need to get back and be the full leader of everything of this team, and that just isn't what's best for them. So, yeah, we'll see. But
I would love to shoot him that bail too, TMV, but my dude, like, I can't. My dude did it. My dude did it to Sliggy, to everybody on Team Liquid, the same exact fucking thing. Where he's like, I want to play KO and blah 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 blah, and like all this shit, and he's just like, no. And then all those people leave the team, and then Team Liquid is how it ended. And then now you go into Karmine Corp and you put yourself in that position too. It's not like you're like, let me hire this coach who's going to help out great, this guy as well. It's like, no, I can do it all. And so when you come into a team with that philosophy, you warp everybody else's philosophy around you. And that's the biggest problem when you try to frame it in like everybody's a yes man type of situation.
Yeah. He needs to spend 2 years in Tesco. Like, seriously, he needs to spend 2 years in Tesco on the tills, talking to the people, getting down to get him off social media, because it's all ego driven, isn't it? It's all ego driven. He needs to listen. The ego needs to be killed. Get him in the forest, take some mushrooms. I don't know. There's got to be a solution to this somewhere.
Specifically, though, the tweets that he's sending, where he says, at the end of the day, I have full responsibility for this roster. Like, I accept the responsibility, etc., etc. It's all good. But in the same tweet, he's blaming Nuzera for leaving the team. And like, you can't take sole responsibility whilst foisting responsibility onto Nuzera for leaving the squad. Those two things are fundamentally incompatible points of view.
Yeah, it's like he read in a textbook.
If you're going to say you have full responsibility, you have to actually act like it. You can't just say it.
Yeah, he read in a textbook what leaders are supposed to do. What is a leader supposed to do? You're supposed to take responsibility for the people underneath you. And he's like, okay, that's good. I'll write it in the tweet. And then at the same time, he's like, but fucking Nuzera, you abandoned the team. I got to include this for the people. It's annoying. It's annoying to read. I hate it. Enough about it. And let's move on.
They're going to win next year, though.
Yeah. No, they're not. Thank God the French fans have got M8. That's all I'm saying. Because, God almighty, that Karmine Corp, Karmine Corp got the same dilemma where they just don't want to drop Scream because he's too clouted, and they're going to continue to build around him, and that team is going to be just I don't know. It's going to be horrible to watch EMEA. For just that one team. But thank God they got M8. Let's talk about Giants. Actual good team. Pog. Giants in the LCQ. I was quite impressed with them. I limited sample size because I only watched. I didn't watch their Karmine Corp game closely. I didn't VOD review. I was watching it live on and off. But I watched the most recent one as well against Koi. I really enjoyed their Koi game.
The most recent one against Koi. I was going to say I didn't watch the grand final.
No. Grand final.
I tuned in for like a little bit of the grand final, and I was like, I'm not watching this game.
Yeah. I didn't even consider grand finals. So my stream was trying to troll me and say, you should really watch the Navi Giants game. It was really good. It was like, you should really watch it. It was great. It was a really good indicator. Apparently Giants were cooking with their comps, unironically, they played
double duelist chamber the whole time with Fatinho on breach.
Yeah, apparently they were cooking though.
That's popping up.
Don't tell me how they
Fatinho was going
crazy.
That's
popping up. That's a Paper X comp if I've
But
ever
this
seen.
grand
Holy.
finals was entirely troll. But the Koi Giants game was where I was really impressed with, and I think there was a couple of things as well. I mean, round 1 on Haven, very simple, and round 1 on Pearl was their pistol round ideas, was what I was impressed with, because I thought that this team had really just cool ideas of what to do in those instances. And I mean, I don't know if you were able to pull it up. I should have grabbed clips ahead of time, Kurt, but I forgot. Apologies. But this pistol round was cool in Haven. They set up this double play in mid, and they have a dart that goes into mid as well that has a blind spot. And it's almost pre-planned, where they know that the dart has a blind spot. They know the limitations of the dart, and they purposely put a fault line in the same spot of where the blind spot is and fight over it with a paranoia. Look at this. They know the dart has a blind spot, and they have a perfect fault line to catch 2 players that are avoiding it. And there's a good response with the paranoia and the smoke to try and avoid it, but they get Hoodie in a deep position. They end up losing this pistol round. But that was a cool idea, and I saw similar examples of that on Paul, what I'm thinking about it as well. We don't have to pull that up either. But I really enjoyed watching Giants because they were throwing interesting things into the mix, cool ideas, and they also just were a good team. They just had good reads on the overall map and how to play maps. Like, for example, they're playing against the Viper comp here in Haven. A lot of teams really struggle to understand what they're supposed to do against the Viper comp when they play against it on Haven. They don't understand the strengths of it. They don't understand what they should be doing. But they were flood defensing a lot. They were hard anchoring a lot, which is what you kind of need to do, because trying to play retake into the Viper comp on Haven when they have the mollies and snake bites to prevent you from retaking is the number one thing that bogs teams down. But they understood that they needed to flood defense. Hoodie was on point with his smokes to try and help them flood defense. Ryan was on point with the util. I thought this team looked really quite good, actually. I was impressed. They were a pleasant surprise. I should have ended the VOD review session with them instead of starting with Navi and started with Navi and everyone else and just went into them, because it would have ended on a high note. But yeah, they were quite good.
They've all.
I mean, that's you go. Bob.
They've always had like good creative ideas. I feel like especially when I watch Haven in particular. That's always a map that stood out to me. But what I thought about this team heading into LCQ was the reason that they didn't qualify for Tokyo, and the reason they weren't top 3 in that situation was because they were trying too hard to like catch up to the meta. But I actually think that's given them such a good advantage because, like you said, Brent, people struggle to play against like this Viper comp on Haven and stuff like that. And I think that has given them the ideas of how to actually play against a lot more stuff. So when they go back to very standard, they're a lot more comfortable. And granted, they're still not playing against like Viper Harbor and stuff like that, but that's kind of at this point dead-ish. I mean, not really, but we just haven't seen it played too often. But yeah, this team just has great players, and when you combine it with some very decent ideas, it's not a lot of ideas, but at least 1 or 2 a map, then you're gonna get good results in general.
Yeah, this team to me is just like they are G2 from previous years. You know, they're a good team, not a great team, a good team that has, you know, a couple decent ideas. You know, they play with a nice structure. You know, and when they play against better teams, they'll lose, and when they play against worse teams, they'll win. And because none of the better teams are in LCQ, they won, right? Like that to me is who they are. They're just kind of like, you know, they're just good. And I think they're almost like a gatekeeper team of like, you know, if you're better than Giants, you're going to go to international events often. And if you're worse than them, you're not. That's Giants.
I'm also quite cautious about making any definitive statements about this team because we've only seen 4 maps from them.
Yeah,
across
very
LCQ.
limited. Yeah.
They won 2-0-2-0 and then trolled the grand finals, which I'm not, you know, being angry at them for trolling the grand finals, but that's just 4 maps that they played, 2 of which were repeats on Pearl. At least we got to see them play the attack and the defense side because they kind of smoked both of those games on Pearl, but like we got to see their defensive setups and then Fatinho just going nuts on the attack side. So, you know, we got to see a bit from this team, but not really much. And it did feel like they'd come up with a new identity for themselves during this time off. They reworked the way that they functioned quite significantly. Yeah, the roles, but also... yeah, they seem to have settled on a bit of an identity too, but I just don't know whether that pervades throughout the rest of their map pool, because again, we've only seen 3 out of 7 from them. So I feel like I have a much worse read on this team than I do on KRÜÜ, right? Because we've just seen so many games of KRÜÜ, and you get a feel for like how they play, how they look on all of the different maps, what their style is generally. This team is still a bit of an unknown to me heading in, because I know what the former Giants was capable of, and I'm not exactly sure what ceiling this team has. And what's their group? Who are they playing against?
They play against
They're the
EDG.
hard group. They have
Yeah,
EDG,
they've got a hard
They
group.
have the
Paper
really
X,
hard group.
KRÜÜ, yeah.
Yeah,
Tough,
I mean,
tough
it
game for them.
doesn't look great for them.
But I don't know. I think that they showed some good ideas. You were gone when I was people talking about it, but they have some well thought ideas, and they don't just suck at adapting and understanding how comps are played. Like they knew how to play. They know how to think.
Yeah,
when
they're
they're
a puggy
playing.
team that's good against countering their opponent's win conditions.
Yeah, which I think is a really good sign. Anyway, Giants, who knows? Unknown quantity, kind of, because we've only seen a few maps of them. Navi, on the other hand, very known quantity, very frustrating, very annoying team to watch. Oh, Navi. I tell you why Navi's annoying to watch, because I'm watching them, and you know the players have talent. You know individually they pop the fuck off. You know that you have Shouse and Getsu clutching them out. You know they're going to get carried by the Zipan Rays, the CNED Jet every now and then. You're going to get a couple of rounds out of them. And then you also see them play maps really well. Like, they have good ideas of how they want to play maps in terms of a macro sense, right? They have good ideas in terms of how to condition, what they want to do. They have a clear objectives with the calling, like Angel's calling has good substance behind it. But then you just see Angel just int like an absolute maniac in so many rounds, and it boggles my mind, bro, because they fixed the comp shit, okay? They have limited ideas, because they probably haven't had much practice time. It's been a very condensed season, and they've swapped around their comps. They're still getting used to it. Fair enough. But if they just fix this one small key, but then also part of me is like, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. I'm watching this team play, and Angel is like inting so fucking hard, and I'm like, this is so stupid. Why is he double TPing in with the spike? Why is he TPing in here? Like, what's his goal here when he's doing this play? And then on the other hand, he dies and creates space for Zipan to get a 4K. And then I'm just like, well, is it stupid or is it genius? Am I the idiot? I don't know. Is he just...
I legitimately think that Angel's like aggression is necessary to some degree in this team. The more that I watch him play, the more that I think this team would really benefit from having a duelist that plays a bit like the way that Angel does, where he plays a bit of like a feedy aggressive role. Yeah, I mean, maybe Angel should just be playing Jet for this team. But it's weird because otherwise, they kind of lack that from their squad.
Yes.
They don't have somebody that aggressively takes a lot of space for them and creates that, gap for the rest of the team to be able to benefit from.
On God, they would be like 100 Thieves if Angel
feeds.
didn't feed.
Yeah, I think they would. I think they would.
They would be like 100 Thieves if Angel didn't feed.
It'd be like watching Zeta on Split.
Yeah, I think that they wouldn't be very proactive.
Look, Angel has the last game I remember Angel playing on Jet. They beat Fnatic 13-0. So clearly there's something there. Now this was a long time ago, but it did happen. They were playing with a sub FPX 13-0 Fnatic on Split, and Angel was playing Jet. So it clearly works. But also, like you said, they sorted out some of the roles. I don't think they have. Josh, you were talking about what team has a Jet 1 trick. I found it. I found it for you.
But
I found the Jet 1 trick team.
But you said this and saying that the Jet should go and play Chamber. But I saw CNED playing
the
Chamber
problem.
during the Chamber meta, and it ain't the key. It just ain't the key. Stick him on Jet. Just leave him on Jet. I mean, if you want to talk about the Jet difference here, that Doombro said that they had never practiced that comp before on Split, which I'm not exactly sure why, because it's really only changing the Sage that CNED was playing over to the Jet. Like, you'd think that they'd experiment with something like that. But he said they'd never played a scrim of it. They just altered a couple of things based on their prior comp, came in with some ideas, and went for it in this game. And it was a drastic improvement.
Yeah.
They could not figure out how to make their attacking side work at all, despite the fact that, to me, it still looks like the Na'Vi players are in decent form. And that's the weird thing, because so much of LCQ, I think, has come down to whether or not your players are in good form individually, as well as having good ideas as a team. But when I'm watching the Na'Vi players, like, they're still hitting their shots. They still look really difficult to play against. If you're taking duels against them, Shao is banging people out. Sugetsu looks very solid. Zipan on Raze has been performing really well. the pieces seem like they're still there, but they haven't been able to put stuff together in a decent way, which is quite a different issue, I think, to what some of the other teams have been having. But turning a 0-2 loss into a 3-0 win in both of their games against Koi is what made the difference for them, right? And that was partly this swap up on split.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, though, there's still, like, you look at the Fracture, like, CNED playing Killjoy on Fracture was...
I didn't mind it.
Really?
I think CNED looked bad.
Oh.
CNED looked bad. But
Well, yeah,
but if,
the team...
But if
the
you're
team
going to
did-
come up
yeah.
with a strategy that revolves around Zipan Rays, and then he's going to drop... What did he drop? 30 or something? He went nuts, didn't he?
Yeah, Zipan's goated.
He did go
Oh,
crazy.
he only dropped 22 in that game. He
22.
only dropped 22 across 22 rounds. I mean, that's still really good. If you're going to get Zipan on Rays, I don't mind cucking CNED. I think that's fine. I
But
think
is that
that's
gonna be-
fine.
But that's good enough against Koi, but is it going to be good enough against, better teams than Koi?
I think you just have to sit him down and have him practice that role a little bit more. I don't think the answer is to rely on the fact that Zipan's a great flex player and have him play at like 50% of what he's capable of, and then have CNED play at, I don't think CNED has been good enough to carry this team and has fit well enough into the identity of this team to be able to do that, whereas Zipan has when he's played Rays.
Mm-hmm.
I think CNED is the wrong. Like, I don't think you're gonna get extra value out of giving him time on a role like that. Because when you talk about like swapping Jet players to sometimes play KJ, you're talking about like the passive Jet players, the ones that are like super good on Chamber most of the time in the Chamber meta, and other than that, like they're just sitting back and trying to get op kills and whatever. Like sometimes cryo and other stuff. CNED's not that, and it's funny to me that they're like Angel's having this issue of like, oh, I don't have an entry player and I want to make my star player shine and whatever, and so I'm gonna feed, because CNED is that guy to me. He's the guy who makes tons of space when he plays aggressively. You just got to use him in that way. But either way, I really don't think that you're gonna get much more. I mean, the dude dropped less ADR than Coldamenta on KJ on Fracture. Like,
Yeah. But on Fracture, because Angel likes to play a slow game, I don't think they would get better value out of running double duelist there. Which is basically what you're saying. Like, otherwise, you've got like Zipan plays Breach or something, and you play like the Breach Sky comp or something like that, or Breach KO and Zipan plays KO. I'm not exactly sure what you would run with CNED solo Jet on that map that would make too much sense for the rest of the team. Yep. And you would still be playing faster and more reactively than Angel likes to call anyway. So specifically for this map, I really don't mind it. I feel like at that point, we might end up looking at the end of this year and thinking CNED was probably the wrong pickup. That's my opinion already. But, with the proper benefit of hindsight at the end of the year, that might be the conclusion that we end up coming to. And maybe they do too, and they look for somebody else.
I've already come to my conclusion. Angel needs to step down and become the fucking coach and stop trolling his roles because he wants to int for his teammates. Just find a person that will entry for him and run all the crazy shit that you want to do, because this team is really good, man. They have really great ideas. Not necessarily all in comp wises, but I feel like most of those issues come from having a team where you can't figure out exactly how the roles are working. And all those issues would be solved if Angel just coached instead.
And find an IGL that can
the
call his
IGL
ideas
problem
accurately.
there arises. We're not in an IGL market. That
You
might
have
be
Angel.
our
What do you
free
mean you have
pipe
Angel? He
take
can't
of the
talk to
day.
them.
I'm not saying that you fucking call. You have Angel. He can pick up. Bro, just pick me up, train me up, and then he's good. Like, it's simple.
This really is the freeze pipe take of the day.
It's the Freeze Pipe take of the day, which brings us on to our sponsor. It's Freeze Pipe. Yippee! Woo! Use code esports for 10% off your order. Freeze Pipe, baby. Tired of the throat burn, chest pain, or coughing attacks when you light up? Do you have baby lungs? I know I do. Upgrade to a Freeze Pipe today and experience icy smooth clouds without the afterburn. Freeze Pipe makes a unique line of freezable pipes, bubblers, and bongs that cool smoke by over 300 degrees. And smoking a Freeze Pipe is like, wait, we've already, you read this out last time, right? About the baseball steroids.
I
line.
did, yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to read that out again. But listen, the secret is all about, listen, the secret is he's freezable. They got glycerin chambers. They come onto every piece, a quick freeze on the glycerin chambers. And they dramatically chill the smoke. for refreshing and easy on the body toke. They're killing rhymes as well. It's not off the dome. I'm reading off the script. But yep, say goodbye to the harsh smoke forever and shop the smoothest pipe bubblers, bombs, bongs, dab rigs, and more at freezepipe.com and use code esports for 10% off. Woo!
It's so effective. Bren's already used it 3 times.
They're gonna get a live demo going at some point on the side. I think that would absolutely get us
Champs is in
demonetized.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, Champs is in LA. We're in LA, baby.
We're in LA, baby.
Whoa. Well, yeah, maybe we'll get a live demo going. No, I probably won't. But you
I had
guys,
some fun when I was in LA this time.
you guys can get 10% off
Where's this
your
going?
orders if you use code esports. So make sure you do it.
Sorry,
Freeze
going?
pipe. 1 hour freeze is all you need as well. Have you seen those things that YouTubers do where they get a product and they dissect it and they take it apart and they look at how it works? We should do that with the glycerin chambers. It sounds like high-tech stuff.
Yeah, but also you'd break it. And then it
No,
would
but we would get permission to do it, and then we just
Let's reverse engineer our
we'd reverse
sponsored
engineering
product on streaming.
Yeah. Here's how you can make one of your own. I mean, why would we do that? We're just taking money away from them. That's exactly the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing.
That's it for the first half of the episode. I've tricked you all. TMV, thank you for joining us. We've got to go on
problem.
eventually with the
Thank you.
episode. Appreciate it. Thank you for the patience as well. Thank you for the knowledge that you bring, as always. And we're going to take a short break, probably, right? That's what we usually do.
Oh wait, did you want to do a thing where he locks in a spot in the power ranking? I don't know whether you were there when we discussed it earlier, Bren, but if we have the ability.
Did Kurt get
Well,
it ready?
I just get to lock a spot.
So the concept of this would be, and I'm not sure whether Kurt's set up for it, but the concept would be we're going to do power rankings later on for the champs teams. And because you can't participate, you get to just take a team and lock it into a spot. And we have to work all the rest of our rankings around your input.
Okay. Okay, the team I'm going to pick then is DRX.
Okay.
And I'm going to put DRX.
Okay.
Don't troll.
I'm going to put DRX.
Out of 16.
The 16 teams.
The 16. I thought it was out of 12. Oh, hold on.
No,
I was,
16 teams.
I was about to put them way too high.
Oh.
DRX, I'm going to put...
Oh, God.
Oh, champ.
7.
Seven!
That's way too
high. He's just out of here.
It's just
Dude, the power rankings are trolled. Anyway, short break time. We're going to get our next guest in. And if you've looked at the thumbnails, you may already know who it is. Sean Gary is. Yee, whoopee.
He just put DRX in 7th, refused to elaborate.
And just bounced. Yep. And just bounced.
That's incredible.
Break time. Everybody get some water. Go stretch a little bit. I'm going to poo. And I might not be back in time for the beginning, but someone else can host.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, we're screwed.
God
You're
damn.
doing a great job, Ren.
He's
Gonna go to use the
Sorry.
restroom. I'm gonna find some awesome free music, royalty free. What's your favorite royalty
the
free
last
song?
time, the last royalty free one got us claimed. By the way, I don't know if you saw that.
Did it?
Yeah.
The whole episode got copyright claimed?
No, I mean it wasn't like a strike or anything. It just they're stealing our money for partial bits.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me hit this up.
Let the boss handle it.
Oh, these are the top or best Valorant team ever. Revenue is being shared with the music rights holders. Oh,
Yeah, they're
fuck
stealing our
that.
money. Can't have that happen.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna just play Kevin McLeod then, because he's the only based royalty free music.
Has anyone sent Sean a message?
I think Kurt was doing it. So.
Shout out
Hey,
to Kevin.
Sean. I messaged Sean. He's ready.
All right. I'll be right back.
What link do I send him? Uh-oh. All right, well, I guess I'll be right back too. Now, you know what? I'm going to hang with chat. Everybody's left you. Everybody's forsaken you guys. Holy shit, we have 5.1 thousand viewers.
Wait, that's crazy.
Like
we have
the episode
5.1k viewers
right
and we
now.
only have 20 likes?
What?
How did that happen?
Oh, no.
Everyone's got to hit the like button immediately, otherwise we're going to get copyright striked.
And by the way, if you're hitting the like button, you better hit that freeze pipe too.
Where were the viewers exploding from recently, Arden, when we looked at the analytics?
Was
it
where from? Like geographically?
Yeah, was it India or Philippines or something?
India,
It was somewhere.
Indonesia, and the Philippines are all like 6% of our viewership. Like,
That's
each
crazy,
individual country, so total. Like,
If you're from India, Indonesia, or the Philippines, post a little emote in the chat with a flag. And if you're not from there, you can't participate, so don't post a flag.
it's crazy that all these Pacific people watch us when we're frauds.
Yeah, when we don't talk about Pacific. I mean, no, the thing is though, we did start talking about Pacific a lot more in the last couple of months. Maybe that's what it was.
Hello?
Yeah. No. It's always been that way. Hi,
Is it
Sean.
really?
Yo,
No,
do we
'cause I was
talk in
gathering-
VMix or do we talk in Discord? I don't remember.
No, in video
Ninja.
Ninja, yeah.
But you're also probably muted because
Oh.
Kurt is AFK, so we can hear you, but they probably can't. And no, I forgot who I'm talking to. Josh. It's always been like they've always had insane viewership for us for some reason.
I was looking at the stats back in May, at the start of May, and we had 55% US.
What?
Yeah.
Start of May. Did we do episodes in May?
I don't know. I can't remember.
All right. You're trolling.
I'm not trolling. I just don't have all of the information you want.
Yeah, you're trolling. All good. No worries.
Oh. Someone in chat says America's bias for real, for real. Okay, look at champions right now. Someone asked me today. I'm going to reveal who because they're making content out of it. But someone asked me today, which region is going to go the furthest? Like, out of the top 5 teams, which region is going to be more represented? And you can throw China into Pacific for this, right? So that there's only 3 answers.
Yep. Are you asking me?
Yeah. What's
Oh.
your answer?
Pacific.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
You think it's still America's?
I think Americas has enough middling teams that end up getting into the top 5. Like, because EMEA there's only one team making it into the top 5.
I guess we're gonna see.
Oh, we're gonna literally do this in the power ranking, aren't we?
rankings, yeah.
We're gonna literally do this. Never mind. No, the thing is, though, the power rankings I think is not exactly the same answer to this question because I think some of the teams are gonna knock each other out in groups.
Sure. No, but
'Cause
we're
it's a
not.
hard group.
That's why we do this before doing pick'ems and groups.
Truth.
It's because we're not. It's just power. Hi, Sean. Sorry for just putting you on screen
You're
without
good.
even telling you.
No, you're good. I'm trying to figure out how to crop my camera. I'm like in the middle on my side, but not on the screen. I think it's
Sean,
good
have you
now.
been skiing recently?
Skiing? What kind? Where's the setting?
No, your eyes look really bright.
Oh, thank you. It's because I'm seeing you. I'm so.
That's very kind.
It's the glare off of the egg. It's not that I'm happy to see you.
Oh shit.
Well, Brent isn't here. I think he's still shitting. So shall we continue with the
Yeah,
episode?
he's listening to TikToks very loudly in the bathroom. So.
No fucking way.
Go and knock on the bathroom door.
All right, one second. I'll knock on the door.
Maybe if I shout loud enough, maybe he'll realize that we're about to start again.
1 second.
he's God, I wish we could control the camera. I wish we had a robo cam right now.
Oh my
I could just
God.
turn around.
That'd be
The-
so funny.
The toilet is literally like just offset. I mean,
Yep.
there's a door obviously in between, but
What is the reunion poster behind you?
Oh, you mean the one that they showed on LCQ when they did that cold open and they used the Plat Chat background? Yeah, that's an Overwatch poster.
Oh, okay.
There's also just the Lucios in the background. I didn't
No,
even think
they
about
covered
that.
over the Lucios.
No, I
Oh.
removed the Lucios and the butt plug before I sent off the screenshot.
Wait,
Where's
butt
the
plug?
butt plug?
I mean, if
It's right next to Dizzy.
Yeah, it's right next to Dizzy, right next to Tens. That's a butt plug.
Yeah.
Oh.
It has
Dizzy
has
with
the
a butt
text
plug.
Plat Chat engraved on it. Shout out to whoever sent that to us. It actually had a
Personalized,
tail
I like
attached
that.
to it as
We
well.
are so like our show is just so ridiculous.
Okay, I'm just gonna continue then. If Brent's not here, we'll wait for him to. We won't bother waiting for him to
Yeah.
get back. The first topic is VAMOOOOOS, and then KRÜÜÜÜ. But I don't know how how do you say that many U's with umlaut? What does a U with an umlaut even do in Spanish? By the way, does anyone know that?
I don't
Remember, man. It's been
I
way
don't think
too
that's
long.
actually a letter.
Is it just to look cool?
I don't think it's
Yeah,
part
Just
of
a
the
smiley
alphabet.
face. It's a smiley face.
Oh, yeah, it's like a really, really weird smiley face, like a very
Yeah.
smiley face. This team made me look like the stupidest person on earth. I mean, legitimately, my stocks have never been lower with the Valorant community and the trust.
Surely, after they beat Leviatan, though,
It's
you
over.
realized like it was happening at that point, right?
Yeah. I became
Yeah.
a believer after they beat Leviatan into the dirt. I mean, that's why I put the clown suit on.
Yeah, like, but I don't think anyone could have predicted it before that, right?
I mean, apparently they were doing
impossible.
very well in scrims.
Hello, Sean.
If you were listening to the scrim
good,
box, they
bro?
were
What's good,
apparently
what's good?
popping off.
All right.
Yeah,
I heard you guys are discussing the butt plug. You
yeah.
want me to bring it out?
Kind of moved on to crew, but
There it is.
Oh,
Yep.
I thought it was the other thing.
Shiny.
Oh my god, it's like that's actually outrageous.
It's hidden.
could you put Dizzy on top of it?
I'm not gonna do that. You guys you set up the crew topic?
Yeah,
you wanna talk crew?
Vamos crew, vamos! Dude, this team has to be one of the craziest stories in esports, right? Going
Has to be.
going winless in the regular season of their game, or going on to win the last chance qualifier to qualify for the biggest event of the year is just. It's insane. I mean, it feels ridiculous that we're just constantly rehashing the same point because it felt ridiculous every single day that we were on the show talking about this run. But yeah, they managed to do it. Holy shit.
I don't get it. Like, I need more info from the team on how they retooled their style too, because it's just they've taken the players that have been performing the worst throughout the season and revitalized them. And like Nags is not really required to do too much. He has a very passive role, but whenever he's offered the opportunity to take a fight, he's been winning it. He's just set himself up on really safe angles and he's winning the fights. And then Klaus is actually being required to take a lot of duels and he's winning them. He looks like a different player. I don't understand what happened, but this team has turned it around in a way that other teams would give their left leg to do.
I think when I think like specifically about the break they took, that a lot of people were speculating about, and like going home and stuff, I think to the fact that the regular season is just such a complete different beast than a tournament where you're coming week after week, having to get motivated over and over and over, and not necessarily even having results that mean anything, and coming so close. Like, all that stuff is a great way to just get demotivated, especially as a South American team. And then when you get to, fifth week in the season, you lose all your super week matches. It's like, okay, like what are we really playing for at this point? And once you come to a tournament, it's different. It's like, okay, like we only have to do this for a week. There's a week stretch where we can play, and all we have to do is this. And it's much easier to get motivated in that instance from some of the guys who have been in slumps, Nags, Klaus, whatever you want to say. It's much, much easier to just flip the switch and play the entire time. Plus, you get results, and those results start to compound. And like, yeah, we're actually fucking good. Like, I think it's a complete mental thing.
I also feel like a lot of people forget that this team completely changed their entire leadership structure at the start of this year.
Yeah.
Like during the offseason, they were trying to go with a team that had Shandy on it. They had Ashedi playing. They didn't have Kesnit, obviously, because he'd gone over to Leviatan and was their bench player for a very, very short period of time before he decided to gave that up. And they had a different coach as well, who I can't remember exactly who that was before they brought Atom in.
It was Liazzo or something.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know.
But this
You're
is
right,
a team that had to make chose to make large changes after experimenting in a couple of off-season tournaments, and failing in those off-season tournaments, really. I mean, the only teams that they won against, even in the off-season after Champions, were Team Liquid, who were playing with a couple of subs, and Team Focus, who are a tier 2 team that was playing in that event, although they did look fairly promising at the time. Like, apart from that, they just got beaten by everybody.
Well, also, after lock-in 2, they added Kesnet, which in my mind is also a significant change.
Absolutely.
Right? So they're working through so many different changes, and I mean, all that added up with the 9-week long season is tough.
But they also,
it's hard to even say
they
like
were
where
bad
they were
last year.
They were good in every aspect of the game in this LCQ run. That's what makes it so impressive. Is like strategically, I thought they looked really sound. They had comps that were different from the other teams. So like comp wise, they were innovating. I mean, you broke down that Pearl default. That was really sick on Belong, how they approached that.
Yeah.
And I mean, also mechanically, like you said, Klaus and Nags just stepped up massively. Same with Melzer. Like those guys were just putting up really big numbers. I don't know what happened. It was so bizarre.
GTA roleplay.
GTA
Genuinely
roleplay.
GTA roleplay. They had a break. They said that was the one thing, right? They took a really long break, much longer than a lot of other teams. I think a lot of teams feeling just the pressure of this condensed season and feeling like they can't take, any time off at all. But they went back home. They chilled for 3 weeks. And they came back, and yeah, I mean, I think I have to give immense amounts of credit to the coaching staff just with the ideas as well, but also it's definitely some semblance of confidence that you were saying, Bala, that with just the individuals popping off, and I genuinely think it's just the rest period helped them a lot, and some players just come alive in that kind of format, in that do or die pressure scenario of a tournament structure where you get the first win rolling, and holy shit, it's your first win of the year. And suddenly the sky's the limit, right? Like you have nothing else to lose at that point. It's your final chance to prove something. And I think you definitely saw players like Klaus and Nagset really just performing and stepping up where they weren't before for the team. Kesnet also having the best tournament that he's had, I think, statistically speaking, compared to any other time that he's played. I mean, all of it came together along with just more nuance in their play. Like they were playing maps well. They had really good ideas, like you were saying. They had great approaches to a lot of different maps. It was the perfect formula for everything to come together for them to go on a run like this. And yeah, I mean, it's just a wild storyline. And this is the beauty of esports for me, honestly. This is why people get into esports, because it would be boring if everything was predictable. But you can have runs like this where players will just turn up on form and the right circumstances come together for a team like KRÜÜ to just suddenly step up.
I feel like, too, there is credit to be given to the coaching staff, absolutely, for like coming up with these, set default ideas, basically. But they are such a default heavy team. And then Melzer, presumably as the IGL, is calling the right reaction off everything that the opponents in LCQ were doing. Like, and not just let's react quickly in one direction or quickly in another or something like that. Like, he's calling the right time to go and help. He's calling the right time to, there were a couple of examples in the finals where Leviatan did something. Let's say they I think King Knife Catwalk on Ascent, or maybe they had like flash peeked it or something, but they went and got info on that area, and Melzer just immediately reads, okay, he's going to have rotated away. He's not going to flash peek it and then stay in that area and continue looking for info. He'll go off somewhere else. And so they just contact through into an A split where they use no utility at all, and they're just walking it in. And the fact that they're making the correct read every time is nuts to me. That is just absolutely insane. Because if you're a team that's working off information, your IGL has to be really solid, I think. And the fact that they haven't got a bunch of set strategies that they're using, they didn't spend this time working on building out a really deep playbook. They actually just have learned a more fundamental way of getting their players in good positions to win the rounds.
Yeah, it feels more consistent, right?
They have like the base amount of strats, like an A. Yeah, they have like an A hit, a B hit, probably like a mid B, mid A, and then they just default. they're so good at holding on 1-3-1s. They're so good at punishing aggression, which is like the one thing that I think could make them maybe get out of groups at champs. But I do think like they won't be able to make those reads against teams like EDG and PRX.
Yeah,
like the same,
much tougher.
They can maybe punish the aggression, but like I don't think the read off of the aggression is going to be as sound.
Just to you know, tickle the balls for a little bit longer and talk about how well they did. I also think there's a lot of credit to be given to Kesnit for buying into this system instead of just going and trying to hard carry them. Because throughout the season, as things got worse and worse, that to me was one of the issues, is that Kesnit was running around trying to hard carry this team and not in sync with the rest of the squad. And it kind of made sense because he is a player that can hard carry, but he just looked like he was a solo unit for the majority of the regular season. And yet they always have him in the pack with Klaus. And if he's on Raze, you know, he's not just firing off into the distance and creating massive gaps between himself and the rest of the team. He keeps Davies and Melzer, or Davies and, Klaus and Melzer, or Klaus and Davies with him tight, depending on what map it is and which trio they're working with. And he's working off their utility really nicely, and he knows when to not go forwards. And it really feels like they got him, however they've done it, to buy into the system and trust his teammates to set him up for better fights.
Yeah, to echo that, dude, all you have to do is look at the first map in the Cloud9 Crew series and just remember that Ascent game where Crew picked Ascent, Kesnit was 0 for 8 on First Bloods. And they just like didn't even really need him in that series. And he was okay being like stepping back kind of in that series and not entering so much. And honestly, like the support players in that series carried them through. I think Cloud9 got like 10 rounds in the last 2 maps. Like outrageous.
Yeah,
that was brutal. I do, when you bring that up, Josh, I think back to like when Kesnit rejoined this team off of Leviatan after lock-in. My big criticism and my fear for the team was that they would like get separated into two major cores because Kesnit was like rejoining Nags and Klaus, and I was scared, especially because Klaus I think was IGLing back then. I was scared that was gonna like fracture the team, and like the Shan side wants to play like this way, and then the Kesnit side wants to play like this way, and you'd have just these egos on either side, and that has clearly not happened. And obviously Shan's side might have lost anyways, given that he's not on the team anymore. But yeah, you didn't really see any of that. And there's 2 ways to look at all of his like splitting up with the team in the regular season. There's the way that he could be thinking, oh, I don't have any trust in my team, I have to do everything on my own. Or he could be thinking like, I need to like instill some confidence in my team and show them that this is possible. And depending on which attitude you have, you'll have a really different result with the growth that comes from that. And I think it's the latter example where you actually do have the rest of the team being able to keep up with him, being able to like have faith in him, and he's also then buying into them. I think all that mental stuff is really key with Crew.
I was just looking it up because I'd forgotten too when Melzer took over IGLing, and apparently it was right before lock-in. So they run up to lock-in, they decided to bench Klaus, if you can remember back to that point. They benched Klaus and brought in Ashedi, and that was when Shandy was still on the team as well. And they'd benched Klaus because his performances presumably were really poor. I mean, the guy has not been performing at a super top level up until this tournament for a long time. And had Melzer take over as IGL. I'm amazed, honestly, that they stuck with Melzer as the IGL after that, too. They must have noticed something that they really liked about his calling at that point, because they've trusted Melzer through a performance at lock-in that, I mean, okay, they're playing against NAVI, so maybe you don't take too much away from that. But they had to reshift their whole, like, they shifted the coach, they shifted those 2 players off the team, they added Kesnit back in. Kesnit's presumably going to trust Klaus, because he's seen them win before with Klaus, and all throughout the season of losing every game despite them being close. And Melzer was still trusted up until this point where he's been able to call them to a tournament success. I mean, that's a lot of trust in a guy that only had losses up until that point.
True. Yeah, they really bought into his system. Honestly, he mid-games really well, so he must be a great in-game leader. Like, he's not calling set plays like you guys mentioned earlier very often. He's not that style of IGL, like kind of like probably Boostio, right? Boostio follows a game plan that Potter creates. It seems like a lot of the stuff Meltzer's calling is just on the fly based on the comms and what he sees on the map, which is absurd that he can do it at such a high level. I mean, how did they go 0-9 with this guy? I don't get it.
Well, they just weren't doing the same stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a culmination of factors that have come together. And that's why you say that they bought into a system, but I mean, what alternatives are there? I'm not familiar with the talent pool, but we're not exactly in an IGL market even with English-speaking players. So
no, I mean, literally the alternative is give up, troll LCQ, and enjoy the off-season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the alternative.
I feel like a lot of teams would genuinely do that. They would just be like, fuck it, we're not winning.
I mean, to be fair, though, like that, low-key, how do we not know that that's what happened? Like, I do want to pose a question. Like, think about how the other teams felt, like 100 Thieves, for example, or like Sentinels. Like them, they played decently. They almost made playoffs. Like, there was a chance. All of a sudden, the year is going to be over if you don't perform here. They're probably fucking sweating their balls off in scrims every single day. They're probably deathmatching like 15 times. Like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Crew, it's like, yeah, we sucked. We're probably getting fired. Fuck it. Like,
yeah,
we're going to go play GTA.
That's a very powerful mentality.
Fuck it, we ball play style. I could see it with the GTA shit, but I don't think Crew had a fuck it we ball play style.
No, they definitely didn't. But you see it manifest in players that were having such poor individual performances suddenly stepping up, like over this LCQ.
I do think isn't defaulting every round just like, okay, we're not really working on anything specific. We're working on our default, but like if I was to pug, that's exactly what I would do.
But the thing is, they still had very good ideas for how to get themselves into favorable positions with their default. They still had like lineups to be able to flush people out that I hadn't seen them running before. Like their Ascent B exec, they've got the Molly lineup that clears logs and stuff that you throw from tiles so that you don't have to be close when when you're trying to set up for that kind of stuff. And the discipline
their Haven
with
comp
which
was very drilled.
Yeah. I feel like that isn't it didn't feel very loose, even though they're defaulting and their mid-rounding is based on information. The start of the round feels to me to be quite regimented, to be honest, and a team that's really trying to like take it very seriously.
I think that's the right mix, though. It's like the idea is the structure they've got is they've got the regimented part of it, but individually all the players had a backs against the wall. Is the last time we might play together as a team. Fuck it, let's just play. And that can unlock some level of confidence. I think it's quite daunting on a team and individual players as well. If you have one bad performance, it snowballs very easily when you just get loss after loss after loss after loss. You start doubting your own ability and your own self-worth as a player on the team, and you just think that there's no way out of this just feedback loop. And you can very easily just despair throughout an entire season when you start playing like that. But all it takes is a change of mentality to unlock some potential, I think, out of some of those players. I think it's a mixture of circumstances. Bala, you speak Spanish, right?
A little bit, yeah, sure.
Yep. Kurt, you're learning Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, we're sending you to LATAM.
Okay.
We need to do some undercover journalism. We need to get to the root of this. Is it GTA RP? Is it whimsy? Is it what's the root of this? We need answers because the gringos are struggling.
Dude, I don't think it's whimsy. I think I remember the round I was going to break down. I don't know if Kurt's even capable of pulling it up so quickly, but like round 15 of Lotus, the first time Leviatan and Crew played, that round was insane how much map control they got and just their approach to it. I wanted to break it down using the telestrator, but it's honestly such a long round that I couldn't have even probably done it. They wanted me to like cut it up into like pieces and stuff like that. And truthfully, like the whole thing is just amazing. Like they get mound control, then they get front B control, then they do a long A exec, which is like super unique, the way they throw an omen smoke on top of rubble. And then they get seekers from the A orb, and then they break the baby door when 2 seekers go towards the A site. Like they had everything. They literally got every inch of the map. Leviatan was just getting destroyed. It was at that moment I just knew Crew was winning the tournament. I was just like, that was such an impressive bonus round. They know what they're doing. Like they know what they're doing on a fundamental level across so many different maps now. Because their split was incredible.
Here's a round for you, Sean.
You want to walk us through it?
Is Is this it? Yeah. So look, check this out. So they're getting long control right now. That's their Omen smoke on top of rubble right now. They're just throwing like fake pressure. They're getting mound. They molly on the ground to break the killjoy shit. They double peek into C right now to break the turret. They run away. The Omen's waiting front B right now. If you look at the mini map, not peeking, he's just holding. They satchel to break another molly. They open the door to meet up with the Omen, taking no like risks until these guys are here. The guy is still holding the long A push all the meanwhile. They break this alarm bot right here in B, and now they're going to go back and do an A exec. Sky is one off of Seekers. Kesnit's farming the B orb. So they're getting all 3 orbs this round, by the way. Check out the Omen the Omen smoke on top rubble that's about to be thrown. So Mizzino literally like can't do anything. There's a dog coming. I've never seen a team throw that
really
smoke.
Nice. No, I haven't even noticed them throwing it during this game.
So these guys retreat into the site because there's literally nothing they can do anymore. They get long for free now. So they've gotten mound, which they still have control over right now. I think the Killjoy's still lurking outside C with a turret on top of the thing outside C. They get Seekers. They follow the path of the least Seekers, which is to B. They get the site for free. There's one smoke left. They leave Heaven open because they plan on pushing it. They have an Omen blind still to throw at Heaven right now, by the way. Check out Melzer. Check out this play. Like, off their contact, he's going to Omen blind fucking Heaven. Like, this is insane. I was like, but all of this has to be kind of on the fly. Yeah. Like, there's like 80 ways for them to win this round. Like, this is an incredible round of Valorant. Like, I was just like, there's so many things that they do on this one round.
But it's stuff like the fact that, so the Kesnit satchel that he throws is for the high nanoswarm that people put on top of the box that blocks the plant position and like gives you damage as you walk into the site. And then Melzer's smoke too is definitely something that the team and him have like thought about in terms of ways of countering people's rubble control. So that I feel like they brought so many good new ideas. The thing that I was breaking down on Pearl as well, I think I haven't seen anyone else do that. Maybe they've stolen it from some tier 2 teams that I've been watching, but like they've brought new ideas that no one else is currently demonstrating at the tier 1 level, and they've done a lot of it. Like, I think they're playing a great game right now, but they're also in the hardest group, I think, at Champs.
You think so? More than D?
I think so.
Yeah.
D is the team of frauds.
Yeah.
D is the team of disappointment, Sean. And you should know better than anybody.
They're not frauds.
I low key, not to bring it back to GTA, but I'm not. And I'm not like I'm not up to date on their streams or whatever. But bro, the value of not fucking playing the game other than scrims and your practice time and just full sending on as much of that behind the scenes stuff that nobody ever watches, that you're not spreading rumors, you're not talking about shit. None of that is so important. Just never playing ranked and just scrimming constantly is so good. And other teams are still like, I gotta get my stream hours in and shit like that and whatever.
Yeah, do it on GTA. Get your stream hours in on GTA. Don't do it on don't do it on Valorant.
So normally I would agree, Paula, but like when LCQ was going down, there was literally no teams for them to scrim. So a lot of the teams I felt like kind of had to play ranked in order to keep their individual level up.
Sure.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Because, you know, the tier 2 scene's done. Like the Ascension tournament's over. And a lot of the VCT teams might not even be in the country right now. Like Loud went to Brazil for a while. You know, like there's so many reasons why they just have like no scrims available.
Sean, you know what happened?
What?
KRÜÜ went back to Argentina and Chile, right? And Colombia. Loud went back to Brazil.
Okay.
Guess who their scrim partner was the entire time? It was just Loud every single time.
They weren't scrimming
for 24/7. Yeah, Loud without aspas. They just scrimmed the entire time.
No, they practiced in the States for a while. They practiced in the States for a while before.
There's no way. There's no way. All right, KRÜÜ doing some cool stuff. I like KRÜÜ. Cool team. Let's hope they do well at Champs, but they got a hard group. Let's talk another NA team and them crumbling. Cloud9 getting reverse swept by Leviatan. Oof. That's a oof moment. This, I didn't want it to happen, but I had a feeling it might happen just from what we'd seen of the team already. And I just thought that the team performed best when expectations were lowest on their shoulders, which I think makes a lot of sense because came into the season, everybody's ranking them at the very bottom. You have 2 hungry players that are new to this tier 1 level. and you're surrounding them with very, emotional players, I'll say. I think that they're led by their vibes in most circumstances, this group of players. And then I just had a feeling that it was going to end poorly. I think at the end, when expectations were highest for them, where they're almost expected to go through as the #1 seed in LCQ and get to the grand finals in a fashion, I would say that they should have been the favorites, right, to make it to the grand finals for the uppers, like out of all the teams in the Americas.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair point.
I mean, at the start of the tournament, too.
Yeah. And so they really, it did feel like a bit of a collapse, right? The fashion of which they lost to KRÜÜ as well in the last 2 maps, where they couldn't put together any semblance of rounds. It was like 10 rounds in the last 2 maps that they played against KRÜÜ after dominating the first map as well, when they're like in the advantage position. I think it's just clear signs that there was something going wrong there with the team, where they're just not able to combat it back. You could just tell the way that MC was taking timeouts. He's using both timeouts in the first half of their maps. Like, it's disappointing because the potential was very high with this team, but also, I don't know. This tends to happen with a lot of, I'm not going to call them rookie players, but the team, I think, needed this level of experience and playing in the circumstance.
I mean, I agree. I think they just really fell short at the finish line. They were a great team all regular season, but there's definitely some kind of mental hurdle they need to overcome, because the same thing happened to them in playoffs, right? I don't think it's like a fluke that it happened to them twice. I think now you can say, like, there's definitely a lack of probably like veteran presence on the team, not really like thought through as far as what to do or say in those moments, because, man, like, they just fell apart in a series that they won the first 2 maps quite convincingly. And then they're up on split like 6-3 on their attack side, running a Cypher breach. And like, what happened? And then Haven, obviously, they're up like 8-1 or something.
Yeah,
like,
it was ridiculous.
Bro, it was so bad. That was so bad.
And look at that comeback. Look at that. That is just insane. We haven't even touched on the fact that as well that there was, the rumors that they were playing with a sub. They were playing with Cupid, right?
Yeah.
Was the rumors?
Yeah.
And instead of Rooney, and the community was in uproar over this. So like, well, of course this happened as well. But, there's a lot of internal circumstances that lead up for teams to make decisions like this. And yeah, I think from what I've been gleaming from the interview pieces that people have been doing as well, it feels like Rooney as a player, he's been talking about, he feels like he has incredible aim and potential as a player, like individual talent in circumstances. But the role he's playing is not one where that is showcased. Like, if you're playing Initiator, if my Initiator player is trying to take duels and fights on a regular basis, that's not where you want them. Your Initiator player is supposed to be setting up the rest of your team, I would say, like in most instances. I actually mold out of control when I see just Initiator players just throwing away their lives in risky situations where, okay, you got to have confidence in your own aim and to be able to pull stuff off, but every Initiator almost that people are playing these days just gets valued the longer you stay alive. You have regenerative utility. You're integral to your team being able to play the game properly. And that applies to the roles that Rooney plays. Like, he is a very, very important piece of the puzzle when it comes to that team having success, but purely because of his util. I kind of saw that getting cleaned up, I think, in their best of 5, but I think just the internal dilemma that they've been running through, for whatever reason, of them playing with a sub, definitely probably played a part with some level of this occurring, but who knows? Of course.
I mean, whatever bail you want to shoot the team, you're literally putting a young player, your IGL, in a really rough situation if that's the case, right? If they're playing with a sub, it's a similar situation that I would put like the Foxy9 camp in.
Yeah.
Right. You're telling him, you're signaling to him that we don't believe in you, and how the hell is that gonna like ever work out in situations where you're not like constantly subbing people in and out? This is just a 5-man roster. It's not, you get a starting slot and that's it. You don't play if you're not on the starting team. So if you're signaling to somebody like, oh, you might get off, that just puts so much pressure on somebody like Rooney, somebody like Foxy9. And so I just don't believe in those sorts of ideas, especially when you don't really have that much wiggle room to make it work. Like, if you're going to cut somebody, cut them. But you don't have that opportunity because of the roster lock. So what is the point if you're not going to commit to it in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the point at which they decided to sub Cuba in for for a significant period of time, they probably just have to commit to it at that point.
They definitely do. They can't go back. You cannot go back at that point. Like, because at that point, it's not only like going to be in the player's mind. Like, I think when they lost the map in the upper bracket, the first map they lost, I feel like they had to all think, man, when we have lost that map with Cupert, like, what the fuck are we doing right now? Like, this is so stupid. The team's dead. Like, they're all thinking the team is dead at that point, right? Like, this team isn't going to make it to next year. Like, what's the point? And Rooney, as the IGL, even just reading between the lines of that interview, he's probably taking more engagements now to make himself look better for next season. Like the whole environment of the team changes when you do stuff like that. I'm a big believer in like team atmosphere. It's like, and just how people communicate and how they perceive their opinions and how they're thought of within the team. And that just seems crazy to me that they entered LCQ as the heavy favorites doing that.
I can't even imagine the situation where I'm IGLing and I know my team has lost trust in me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just going to be quiet. I'm just, most of the time going to be quiet.
But this also isn't a team that was heavily led by Rooney anyway.
Yeah.
That's not. I think
this was an MC game plan team.
Yeah, this was a game plan team and also a trust the veterans to make mid-round calls team.
Yeah.
This was not
It was.
Rooney being, finesse leading them to success.
I'm not
or failure.
claiming that at all, by the way.
Right,
Like,
but I do think that changes the situation slightly, because it's not that they don't have trust in you as a caller. It's I would assume they don't have trust in your ability to perform in big games or your ability to whatever it is, like com in the big games or whatever, like something that you can potentially work on.
Sure.
Not this is the way you think about Valorant.
Sure.
Yeah. I actually think this is kind of exactly what you would expect a stereotypical team that brought in 2 inexperienced players to do. Isn't it? Like, if you sat down at the beginning of the year and you said, I'm going to give you a premise, Cloud9 are actually good with this team, and you're expected to say, right, like you're expected to say, like, what do you expect the issue to be for this squad that brought in a player that was, had almost no experience in Jake, and then some tier 2 experience, but no level higher than that with Rooney. If you said, what do you expect the most obvious issue to be? It would be not being able to perform in the big games, not being able to perform in the playoffs, having a lot of talent, but not being able to realize it when it matters. That's just the stereotype that you would go towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. What do you think the future of this team is in terms of just them moving forwards? Do you think that they'll keep
much
this
money do they have?
Yeah, do you think they'll keep the core? Well, here's the thing: if the rumors and behind the scenes stuff is already true, Vanity and Ye at the beginning leaving, they cut the salaries already. Like the money was a problem from the beginning with this team. So I think the existing roster is already not getting paid as much as they were. If you're talking about the original idea for it.
But at the same time, what I mean with the budget is, are they looking to invest? Because if you're looking to try and make this team into one that can turn up to international tournaments, I don't think you have to tweet too much, to be honest with you. But if you're looking to try and make something that is a team like this that can go on a run, but isn't necessarily going to be in the conversation we have for world beaters, then
go on a run.
Go on a run. The 8-1 team isn't going to go on a run.
I was playing ranked, and Josh, that clip I sent you was the wrong one, but somebody was convinced I was you in ranked. And they were like, no, it's got to be him. We can hear him smile. We can hear him laughing. And they were like, can you say it? Say the thing. Say the thing. I was like, what's the thing? What's the thing? They were like, say, go on a run. Say, go on a run. and I went, go on a run. The Norton 9 team is going to go on a run. And they lost it. They collectively lost it. They were convinced. At that point, I was Sideshow in that server.
Well, I hope you popped off. Was that the game you played on Chamber where you went nuts?
We won, I think.
Okay, good. You notice how he didn't say a word of how he performed in that
game.
Just
we won.
I think we won.
Team game.
I mean, what Sean was talking about, team atmosphere. I mean, there you go, right there. They think they're playing with Sideshow. Yeah,
the vibes are good. The vibes are good. They thought they were playing with a celebrity.
Yeah. So wait, hard question is, who do they keep? I think they keep like Zelsa, Zeppa, and Leaf and MCE for sure. 100%.
I agree with you. I think those are the players you look at, but I still don't even think that solves the issue. Because I was going to pose the question, thinking of the future, like watching this game, I think those guys specifically also choked. And I'm not saying that, like, you know, obviously everybody choked, but you could tell in really crucial moments, Haven, for example, against Leviatan during the reverse sweep, like when they all have ults. And every single player, Zeppa pops his ult randomly in the beginning of the round. Zelsa's breach ults at the same time, completely disjointed from everything going on the map. It's just all over the place. And that is, to me, them all falling to the pressure, all thinking that they have to make a big play, all thinking that right now is the moment that they have to win. And I don't trust that core without some extra element to help them through moments like that.
I think they need like a star opper and like an IGL initiator, if that's possible.
Oh, yeah.
That would be insane. I'm
Are
being
you
serious.
joking? Or are you being serious?
No, I'm being dead serious.
That's just yay and vanity, motherfucker. That's just yay and vanity.
They need him back.
Vanity was mostly playing smokes, to be honest, but
yeah, they kind of need that. That's what they're missing when I watch them. Like, unironically, I didn't even think about it that way, but I mean, I don't think that like Rooney and Jake are bad players. I actually think that they played phenomenal in this first season. Like, but I'm just saying when I watch them, I feel like that's kind of what they need. Unironically, they need the team that they originally built.
Yeah. I think a lot about Jake's performance and think that he's fucking gonna be top notch. Like in all the games, I was like, dude, this guy is making such huge plays.
Yeah.
And constantly finding good lyrics, constantly making, I don't know, the play that wins them rounds, and almost never like, oh, he just inted. Just he still come into the pressure like everybody else. So I
think he played his
like,
best game in the finals.
Yeah.
And then he tweeted afterwards, and he was like, all I did was disappoint all year long. Like, bro, that's heartbreaking when he just went nuts in that game.
I think that Ascent game he played.
And we won't talk about the rest of the tweets.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not the only thing he tweeted, but
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. Jesus.
What happened?
I actually don't know because I didn't read him, but apparently his girlfriend was being xenophobic towards Latin people or something.
Oh,
something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just calling them all poor.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But
anyway, we're not a drama podcast, Wilkinson. Get us back on track right now.
Sorry. Informed. Get us back on track.
What do you think about Lev? What will Lev do next year? That's another thing we haven't really spoken about. Lev is...
Dude, to be honest with you, run it back.
Run it back?
Yeah, run it back. Because whom do they pick up if they don't?
It's an ideology problem.
Right, but...
You think
it's
they
not a player problem. Is that what you're saying? You're saying owner problem. I think it's an owner problem. Yeah, I think owner is a fantastic prep-based coach with great ideas, but he's so drilled in terms of his structure and the rigidity of it that he's hampered his players' success in terms of them being able to adapt on the fly and actually be able to read circumstances. They're so focused on their own gameplay that it's a deterrence for them. It's like I feel like
here's the solve.
It's held these players back.
The solve. Noz was previously been an IGL. IGL's Furia to Champions were coming second place in LCQ last year. He has been vocal on the LATAM broadcast about wanting to do more anti-stratting and VOD prep of the opponents. Just give him a little bit more of a say in the team. And he doesn't have to be the IGL. He doesn't have to be, taking things over entirely, although you could try that if you wanted to as an experiment in the off-season. But I think having him be more of a guy that does a bit of that side of the prep and can offer, things to King during the game might end up being a nice solve for somebody that isn't having the largest impact in the server.
When I look at that team, they feel like it is ran from just whatever owner gets. Do you feel me? It feels like there's not much room. There's not much wiggle room for the players. When I see the way that they operate, the way that they talk about it in interviews, the way that his approach to the game as a whole.
I don't think that's totally true. I think it is partially true, but like for example, you listened to Nazwar after in the interview at the end of the game last time, and he's asked about like the timeout on Haven, and Like that was called because King specifically asked for a timeout, and owner's not even putting any input in that decision or what they're calling or whatever. And it is an ideology thing because he says in the interview, King, whatever idea you have, let's not do that because we wouldn't do it in a scrim. But it's baked into everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's not just owner. And in my mind, I think it's low key. Like a lot of the stuff that they do is good, right? Having that much structure, having that much prep in terms of like all the different rounds. I think the big way that it breaks down is not being able to make plays. The opposite thing that we always say is, oh, this guy's inting. He's trying to make too many plays. He's doing hero stuff. But like that's completely missing in my mind when I watch Leviatan. And that's where I'd like to see them break down that culture a little bit.
I think if they keep the same roster, I feel like Taco would need to learn how to play like Raze. They need to like figure something out. Fundamentally, like they just have no playmaking right now. No big playmaking from a duelist.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you say that Noswer, in an interview, said that they shouldn't run the strat that King called because they wouldn't do it in scrims?
Yeah, so
I
on
missed that
Haven,
part.
they were like 2 rounds away from winning or something. It was like, I don't know, 2 rounds away from the end of the game. And King calls
This
a
is
timeout.
their comeback against Cloud9.
No, they were
This is the game
on Haven.
Right.
They were winning and they called a timeout. I'm pretty sure, right? Because I was thinking like, why did they give MC a timeout right now?
Yes. It was like round 22 or round 23, something like that.
Yeah, they were up, and I actually don't remember exactly when. There was 2 rounds left. That's all I remember. And I was like, why would they call a timeout? There's so many like ults about to come up. Like this is the perfect round to just let fly and then call something as the final round to end the game. But either way, yeah, Noswer said in the interview, he said, King said, I have an idea. He called the timeout, said I had an idea, called out the idea, and then the entire team said, would we do that in a scrim? No. So why the fuck would we do that? And they just did what they did in the scrim. That was his answer.
And they won, but also that seems nuts to me. Like that is blown my mind. Because when your IGL calls a timeout and calls a strat, and you're like,
and there's resistance, yeah, I know. That's why I was also mad with the line.
That
I would
seems
be
like
so
a
triggered.
horrible team to IGL for at that point.
I'd be
like,
so mad.
Why would I ever bring a new idea to the table then? Why would I ever try and make a read during a match if you guys are just going to ignore it or not listen to it? I don't know.
I mean, granted, like we don't know what he called, so
No,
it could be
I
some
mean,
batshit
it might have
crazy
been
shit.
trolling. Let's all hide inside the smoke at the top of C Long.
Let's ult a heaven with the spike. Like you never know.
To give context, though, they were up 9-1 on their attacking side of Haven, doing what they were previously doing. So if he's going to take a timeout and like completely call something random just for no reason, I don't really like that very much. I kind of actually
just, like,
side
stick to
with the
what's winning.
players. Yeah, but I would be triggered if someone did that to me. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Let's see what happens. in the
And
offseason.
you also don't know how they delivered. You know, they're not doing that strat. It could have been funny and relieved all the tension.
I want to talk about the FaZe clan news for tier 2 a little bit, just real quick, very very quick touch on, because I don't know how long we've been going for, but we got more stuff to do and it's going to take a long time to do it. But FaZe, they dropped their entire roster, right? I think this is more just signs of the, I don't know, the imminent state of tier 2 currently in
TF2
in tier 2 in Valorant. And honestly, I think it's a little bit concerning as well. I think there needs to be more being done to just show that there's actually something to play for in the off season. But it's understandable that teams are going to be kind of like, you know, disbanding and whatnot, because the entire purpose of them playing is for the entire purpose is them playing for Ascension.
So dumb.
And you know, when it doesn't come together, of course they're going to be doing that. But there needs to be more to play for, I think, in the off season. I know that they've said, you know, previously that they want us to miss Valorant in the off season. They want enough of a break where this happens. But in my mind, they've kind of like shot themselves in the foot a little bit with the circuit this year, trying to condense it all so it doesn't overlap with League of Legends. In that you have an incredibly grueling season for the players, where a lot of these players and teams are going to want a break after this season. They're just going to need one. They're not going to be able to jump straight into the off season and whatnot, but there's going to have to be a period where teams are rebuilding and a period of rest and then jumping into off season stuff. But there hasn't really been anything announced, I don't believe, right? It's been just some.
Not that I've seen.
No,
Just the
it's
rumors
just
about
nothing-
Red Bull
okay.
Homegrown.
rumors about
Actually,
Red
no,
Bull
not
Homegrown.
rumor. It's happening in Japan.
It's happening.
That's
And there really haven't been anything else announced, and it's just concerning because why would tier 2 teams field a team at this point in time? Like, why? What motivation do they even have for this? And for me, when I'm looking at Valorant as an esport, I think this is one of the only things that could cause it to have some sort of downturn, and it kind of needs the course correction right now, and that's a healthy tier 2 scene. Because I've seen it in the Overwatch League, what happens when you completely neglect a tier 2 scene and just rely on your franchise league to try and carry everything. And what happens is your talent development just gets absolutely squandered. It feels like there's no real lifeblood or path to pro for a lot of these teams, which was the entire premise that they were kind of promoting at the beginning. You know, that whole bloody pyramid graphic that they were showing, the Illuminati looking motherfucker, where you see the build-up of Premier into tier 3, into tier 2, into tier 1. We need news, I think, to settle the worries of a lot of orgs and investors or whatever that might be wanting to get into tier 2, and also a lot of players. Like, currently a lot of players are just wondering what the hell they're going to be doing. They're filling out job applications. They're wondering if they're going to go back to school right now rather than playing in your circuit. If your talent line is getting affected, if the lifeblood of your game, of your esports scene is being affected, it's going to have knock-on effects. I've seen it happen. It's going to have knock-on effects for tier 1. And so the earlier this gets addressed, the better. And I thought this would be the best time to bring it up during this with the FaZe clan dropping the entire roster. But I really do believe this. There needs to be something being pushed forward so that they actually make some tangible announcements for this offseason.
This is like, in my opinion, like, I'm just going to be brutally honest. I think this is like catastrophic. Like, I think the way that the tier 2 scene and probably even like GC, right? I saw Ninjas in Pajamas actually drop their GC team and a couple others did as well. Like, almost all of these challengers teams are no longer supporting their team other than Shopify, the org I'm on. Like, they actually kept a lot of their players and are building right now. But it's rough because a lot of the players that were on these orgs that were here for years, that helped build this scene, that have the experience, they're going to be likely forced to leave and find careers elsewhere because they can't wait 8 months or 6 months with no pay. They were already probably like barely scraping by in tier 2. And when that happens, the educational aspect in the tier 2 scene gets wiped, right? So there's no one to teach like the next generation how to play. And then there's like the way to progress up through the system is removed. And you just get stagnant up at the top. Because what's the point, say, if you're like 100 Thieves, Sentinels, Cloud9, EG, what is the point? You have, you know, now that the guard's in there, I think you have like 30 NA slots of pros, 6 duelists, 6 Sentinels, blah, blah. Would you take a risk on a player that hasn't even gotten like any reps? Because that's what's going to happen in like 2 years. Like, this isn't going to happen right now, but I think if this goes on for like a couple years, it would be very bad for the talent pipeline. Like, super bad. I totally agree, Bren.
What we saw in the Overwatch League was that if you completely abandon your tier 2 scene, you do still get upcoming talent, but they're all very young talent that's just in school. You know, not at the age where they have to support themselves, still living with parents, etc. And also, you don't know any of them when they come into the partnerships leagues. You don't anticipate them. You don't build any like attachment with them. You don't want them to succeed necessarily, except just that they're a brand new face on the circuit. And the player turnover was also enormous at that point too. I mean, partly because of the problems with tier 1 as well, but also because if you had a new player come in and they didn't perform very well, whoop, kick them out, get a new one in again. They're just another young player that doesn't really have like a personality attached to them. Not because they don't have a personality, but because we haven't seen it in interviews in tier 2, and we haven't seen them involved in content, and you know, we haven't seen their play style come up through the system as well. So I think that's one of the biggest issues, is that you just lose your attachment to a lot of the new talent that ends up coming in. Like, it's great to watch players that have been around for a while make it, and you root for them and you become fans of them when they enter the top scene.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Josh, because you've been in Overwatch and now you're obviously in Valorant. What do you think is more important for the developer to give these orgs? Is it control, like IP rights to maybe create merch using the characters or run their own tournaments, or do you think it's money? What do you think would be, for orgs, like from developer to org, what is more important to you? Like control to be like in almost like an open circuit in the off season and maybe create your own tournaments, get revenue that way by selling broadcast rights? Or do you think money, like just financial benefit is more important.
I mean, I don't think that unless the control element can actually be turned into some kind of financial incentive or massive amounts of brand growth, I don't think it really moves the needle particularly. I mean, nobody's buying broadcast rights much for tier 2 tournaments. No one's buying broadcast rights for fucking tier 1 tournaments at the moment. So I don't think there's a large amount of revenue to be gained there. If you wanted them to put like, skins into the game and you could sell against that, I mean, that'd be incredible. But then again, they're not even doing that for the tier 1 level at the moment, right? Didn't they say they were going to make some like buddies for the partnership teams or something?
I think they're
Have they
working
done
on
that yet? I don't
I think they probably
done it,
will.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will at some point, but they're very unlikely to extend that outwards because it just creates like a large amount of developer time. And also every time someone makes like a new qualifier and is in whatever you want to call the tier 2 circuit, like, if anyone makes it into challengers, do you have to create a whole new system for them? And then when do you stop selling their stuff when they get knocked out or get relegated or something? It just becomes way more difficult to do that. So to me, it's about aligning the incentives of the tier 2 teams. And at the moment, the only large incentive is ascension, is being able to ascend and having that massive carrot on a stick at the end of the year. And if you're not involved in that system, and you also don't have any off-season tournaments where they can participate against the partnership teams, and you can prove that your players are at that level, and you can gain the, hundreds of thousands of people eyeballs on your product instead of the average for tier 2 in North America during for America's Ascension was 52K, which is really small. I mean, it was that was the largest average out of the 3 regions. The peaks were a lot higher for EMEA and Pacific because they had longer events and they had bigger teams like Gentlemates and like Scars or something where you get the Japanese viewership going crazy. But still, that's not a large amount of viewership. If you had an off-season tournament that was run by a Blast or an ESL or something, and it had, Loud playing against, I don't know, Gentlemates or whatever, but let's name a non-clouted tier 2 team. I mean, the Guard, they're not clouted, to be honest. Like, the Guard plays against Sentinels and beats them. They're getting, 6x the viewership that they've been getting during the regular season, probably. So I think
that's what I mean with like that control thing.
An incentive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
also, I think the off-season is just too long.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
What is a viable length of an off-season that is sustainable for tier 2? Because during all of that time, you have to be paying players that you're hoping to build a team with for next year. Like, if it's 4 months, man, even if they're running cool off-season tournaments at that point, that still might be too long to justify paying these players for a significant period of time.
So playing devil's advocate against myself, I do think that the Challenger players were overpaid. And I think in the current state of like the esports economy, the Band-Aid kind of needed to be ripped off. Like there needed to be like a planned burn, And part of me thinks these orgs or maybe replacement orgs are just going to be coming back and they'll just pay lower salaries and that's just how it's going to be. And then those orgs are going to stay, right? Those will be the orgs that will likely stay, the ones we get next year when the salaries kind of level out. Do you think that's possible?
Mate, right. I mean, did you see the thing that was like FaZe are spending 300K a month or something on their roster? I don't even know where they pulled that figure from. But if that's anywhere near accurate, that is just...
Isn't that just some random...
almost impossible.
I think it's some guy
member that's spewing bullshit.
Yeah, FaZe like lives and breathes off of the drama, and it was just some like burnt founder or something. I don't even know. Some guy attached to it that was literally pulling numbers out of his ass in some circumstances. I think some of it got disproven, but yeah, I mean, it's still.
But some of the tier 2 players are on.
They are on giga money.
Outstandingly large contracts.
Yes.
Outstandingly large.
Yes.
And so, yeah, there's going to be some adjustment, I think, heading into the off season, and just as a lot of orgs as well, looking into just the esports sphere. Venture capitalist investments drying up. There's going to be that readjustment in terms of how much people should be spending for this, that, or the other, and trying to cut costs and things. It's going to be turbulent, I think, heading forwards. But I think it needs to come from the Riot side in terms of support. And I mean, Sean, you brought up like, what does it come from? Creative control over using the IP, or does it come from just raw money and funding? I think raw money is the easiest way to do it because I don't think orgs can be trusted with the IP and content of it. I think they'll, even teams in the franchise leagues currently are not even using everything at their disposal to create content and using that position they've been put in to actually propel their brands. They're actually squandering it even now. I don't think orgs can really be trusted to do that. But What you can do is, I think the easiest way and the most successful model that's been proven, or at least part of it, if you can tie in some sort of model to support them, it's the skins, it's the packs that they sell. If you do at the end of the year some big pack that gets some form of revenue, it can be something simple. I know it's dev time that you play in, but it can be something like just literally, a banner, a title, a gun buddy, and maybe a skin, just like for something that's designed that they throw in for, the game changer circuit, that they throw in for the tier 2 circuit, and then at the end of it gets split in some way or form to the teams that perform best. That is another incentive that you add on aside from just the carrot at the stick if you're talking about tier 2, that is just promoting your one team, which that's just not sustainable. And also, yeah, the offseason just needs to be shorter. It needs to be shorter. It's not sustainable for tier 2. The orgs are not going to keep rosters when it's this long. There haven't been any announcements for events. But anyway, I wanted to talk about, I'm glad we did. Let's move on to talk about rumors. Woo, you whispers on the wind. It's Sean, you were talking about this recently. Loud having internal aspas issues with aspas, and you did a long piece of Slasher. Slasher was he was right next to the load bearing ficus plant, and he was like spitting. He was spitting that classic Slasher position, and the man was scrounging for his information. It's on your channel, right, Sean? On your YouTube channel?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
If people want to check it out. So if you want to watch it, it's like a full piece with it where Slasher's going into details about these rumors, and we're just going to summarize it basically. I mean, the report from Slasher is like what he's been digging up is there's been these internal issues with aspas. The team's been scrimming with a sub with Havoc playing, and it's on Sean's YouTube. We're going to hit the subscribe button. There we go. Hit the bell. Hey, everybody, hit the bell. Hit the subscribe. And there's been internal issues with them, and they've been scrimming without him.
Wait, what is this? Is this what is this? Is this a podcast? What the fuck are you?
You cheating on us?
What's going on here? This is crazy. No, I'm just kidding.
Rod and I just gossip. But yeah, Rod has pretty good sources. Obviously, I don't really know much about it. I was in disbelief when he told me. I'm not gonna lie. So he basically told me that there was a bit of a feud within Loud, and they think that aspas wasn't working hard enough or something, or wasn't playing enough with the team. And personally, I just think it's because Loud lost like Tokyo, and they just weren't playing well. And these players haven't lost very much in their career. Like Les has hardly lost at all, actually. So when he took that loss in Tokyo, he probably took it pretty poorly, probably communicated it pretty poorly. And obviously with the whole Saucy Pancata thing on Sentinels, I bet they're probably in Aspas's ear, like here and there, right? And I know for a fact there's been a lot of orgs that have thrown offers Aspas's way, even kind of like up to this point. And there probably will be more after this video gets out, right? And I think Bali, you said all their contracts are up at the end of the year.
Everybody except Colin Zine.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's going to be a big shakeup no matter what. But I think personally, when I look at this, I'm not surprised that aspas might already be entertaining things, especially given a loss. That's normally pretty bad ethics, but like, I mean, with the situation that is in terms of Brazil teams anyways, I think all these Brazil teams that are in partnership, MIBR and Furia specifically, who have performed so poorly, are going to be doing anything that they can to get the leg up on next year in terms of like their counterparts in Brazil. So it's not surprising.
Sadak put out a tweet basically completely refuting everything, where he's saying our team has always been closely outside. We exist within our bubble. We leave everything outside the team outside. Incredible what people do to create clickbait without knowing anything. We are united, focused 100% for champions. It's a post completely disagreeing with everything that's come out. Hello, Aspas. But I genuinely, I think that there's probably, Slasher, he does talk to numerous amounts of people. Like when he's coming up with this information, he's not pulling shit out of his ass. There is going to be, I think, some middle ground, credible line of truth probably to this, which is, I even saw this being corroborated by people commenting saying I was playing NA ranked and saw aspas in the servers, like during when they were supposed to be scrimming in Brazil. So like people even, confirming that aspas wasn't in the country.
But again, it is possible that like they were fine with aspas staying there. With his
and so that's what I was going to say.
Something that was discussed, and they knew that they would have to play with.
I think the truth
and maybe
is
Les
probably
was
somewhere.
disgruntled, but the whole team isn't like about to explode.
Exactly.
about it.
I think the truth is probably somewhere more in the middle, where it's this. Again, I'll reiterate what I've been already saying, which is this season is grueling for players. It is brutal. It's exhausting. If you've been playing in every single event, Loud played the entirety of lock-in. They played all the way to the end. They played the entire regular season. They played the playoffs. They didn't have to play in LCQ. But they had to play in Tokyo. They had to travel and fly to Japan. Of course, they went out early, but they were still traveling and flying this entire time, practicing, prepping, grinding hard up for these events. It's exhausting. It's grueling. It's all condensed into a very short amount of time. I wouldn't blame aspas if he needed some time alone and the team understood that and they went back to Brazil and he went to LA and they just had some time off where he wasn't playing with them. I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere along that line and that line of truth. It is still a bit concerning though, because I think Loud, they got knocked down hard off the back of that loss. I mean, they went against completely what they were practicing and showcasing in the regular season, which was just bizarre at Tokyo. I mean, we've already touched on that in previous episodes, but it just, it feels like the writing's on the wall almost for just another disappointing groups for them. But you never know. They're also with one more fraud team in their group. They've got DRX with them, so it's...
So
They got a bunch of frauds in that group.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think the hottest take is like Crew as an example. Dead teams in esports or teams that are on the verge of dying, they overperform like mofos, and winning solves everything in esports. It literally fixes any problem you have. I feel like Loud literally just makes a run. Loud goes on a run here.
Coping.
Loud is going. No, this is not cope. Aspas is literally my favorite player. I'm not even trolling. Like I love watching Aspas. I think he's so smart when he plays Jet, like how he uses every piece of util. And I honestly think it's so possible they go on a run. Like I
easily win
I'm
this
not
group.
even trolling.
Dude, I mean, they could win in their group.
They should.
They could win in their group, man.
Like Loud could literally.
If they
pull
don't
a
win that
repeat.
group, it's a tragedy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But also with the state that they're currently in, I also, if they go out in their group, I wouldn't be surprised. That group is like, I have the least expectations for, because you have Liquid that I think everybody's got in their mind that they've got this upper level for them that they've set. The bar has been set from that grand finals EMEA win over Fnatic, where you had tremendous amounts of upswing in terms of the individual play of a lot of players. I mean, that's where everybody set their level at, but they haven't really shown that they can play up to that consistently. Navi are lost in the sauce in terms of just redirecting their roles. They clearly don't have a lot of practice time, but they have a ton of potential. You can tell when they play. DRX are toast. I mean, I'm sorry to say, DRX are toast. Like, I cannot believe TMV just locked him in at 7 in our power rankings that we have yet to do and has just pieced it. He's actually just fucking trolled the shit out of us. Like, he has trolled the shit out of us. DRX are toast, man. And yeah,
I
mean,
can't believe he's done this.
there's a world
You're
that
gonna
Loud go
regret
on a
that.
run, man. There really is.
I feel like Loud are the team that we should know the least about at this point, which is bonkers, because there's so much swirling bad juju in the air, and whether or not you believe in it defines exactly where you want to put them. Last year they did exactly the same thing. They come finals, they bomb out the second tournament, they win champions at the end. They also then immediately broke up afterwards. They didn't, they won and they didn't want to run it back. They just splintered off and started again.
Don't forget the whole fucking Les v Saucy thing that we just found out about that happened literally around the same time that they lost in Copenhagen. It's exactly a repeat if you want to look at it that way, and it all stems from Les. And I didn't say anything about this, but like Les at this point to me is becoming the problem child of Loud. And when you have internal issues with Saucy, and then all of a sudden you're starting to have internal issues with aspas, and then you're criticizing your coaching staff, like, you can't do both ends at the same time where you're like, this shit is not working and I'm complaining and I'm being mad, but I also hate when Saucy did that to me and I don't like how Aspas is treating me. Like, you can't be the pick me guy on the team and start to have all these issues and actually lead it to have bad results while also being a star. I think that's just going to constantly fluctuate in terms of performance.
Was his thing about the coaches the map veto issue? Yeah, because that was bizarre. I still don't know what to think about that. I mean, Loud are there publicly in terms of when the map veto was actually done and it was filmed with Fraud and SDK doing the map vetoes, but they said that it was less all throughout the regular season. And then Fraud in a press conference afterwards said, the team's aligned on which maps we went to, but it didn't make any sense. The map veto was one of the large reasons why we didn't get to see them play Viper Harbor a single time. And the permabanning of Pearl was a bad decision, I think, at an international event. And we didn't get to see them play Haven, which they looked amazing at. So that is bizarre to me. I mean, plus, Sean, what you said in your video, the teams are talking about how much they're stomping loud at the moment.
Dude, that's what threw me off for LCQ, is these NA teams were like, yeah, we're owning loud. We're owning loud. I'm like, oh, shit, NA is looking good. NA is looking good. And then, like, the more teams I started talking to, I'm like, wait, who the fuck is Loud beating? Like, they're beating no one. They're beating literally no one. Like, all the NA teams are beating them right now. But honestly, that makes me want to pick them to win groups more. I know that's fucking insane. I'm fully bought in now. You Scrims mean nothing, dude. Like, honestly, the more they lose, the better they get in my eyes.
That's
if they
so
maintain the
stupid.
mental. That's if they don't crumble from losing the scrims, which
Yeah,
I don't know. They might. They've got good players on the team. They've got veteran presence on there. Yeah. I hope that Loud don't bomb out of it, but I don't know. The writing's on the wall with it. Let's do power rankings. We're almost at the tail end of this episode. It's the final segment that everybody gets excited about. I hate power rankings with every part of my soul. I hate them so much. They don't prove anything. All they do is generate comments from people arguing, and let's just do it. Let's go. I'm gonna wind you guys up. Let's let loose. I think number one, I'll start off the rip here. Fnatic number one. Is there anyone that can disagree with this? I don't think so. Fnatic should be heavy favorites to make it to the grand finals of this event.
Well, actually, guys, they didn't really show anything at Tokyo. They didn't do anything new, and I think that means that Paper X should be above them, right?
They have to play Pearl. They don't have a
raised one
7-map pool. Yeah, they don't have a 7-map pool, so can't put them there.
I'm saying this because y'all motherfuckers all did that shit the last power rankings, and this is what happened. So thank you. Put Fnatic at number one.
Yeah, but also we're entering the Great Valorant Depression, and we didn't realize at the time that everybody else had just tanked. Like, you're telling me...
Not my fault.
Well, yeah, of course it's not your fault.
Not my fault.
But it's also not our fault that we had faith in Loud.
Be right. Don't be stupid. Put Fnatic at number one. Thank you. That's my statement.
Fnatic should be number one.
We did put Fnatic number one last time anyway. You argued
after
us
we
down.
After we had to convince you. All right, anyways.
This is where shit gets weird.
All right, hot take. EDG number two.
What the fuck?
Not that hot, but no.
You don't think so?
No,
Bro,
come on.
who
Paper
the
X
fuck did we
exists.
put it
And
into?
fuck off.
The scrim rumors from Pacific have me wanting to believe.
Yeah, I want to believe. The rumors are that
I feel
EDG
like they've had
are,
their breakthrough.
Yeah, EDG are not just winning, they are dominating. That's the rumors. That's the streets are talking, and they are saying China is here. Boostio is going to be made to look silly very quickly.
Boostio's a fraud.
I mean, I've watched the Chinese qualifiers games, and I do believe that they've gotten even better than Tokyo, and it's in very simple things, but they also are playing Chinese teams, so it's very hard to judge.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, the improvement's crazy, but like they're covering up mistakes from prior rounds that they weren't necessarily doing. They were kind of just brute forcing with like better skill and whatever. In most of the cases, they have really fucking unique.
Surely
I mean, it's
like,
the same stuff from Tokyo. I don't want to put him second because I think that's just based
Can we
off
put
of
him
scrim
second for
bugs.
now? Can we put him second for now
No,
as
because
we add
Paper
another
X
team?
is second. Surely.
no. I feel like two has to
don't
be
know.
either.
Don't say it.
Two has to be NRG or. I don't want to say EG. I think EG.
Why not EG?
I don't know. I need to see it for longer. I need to see it like out of their heater run. Out of their heater run. They went on that heater run, but they need to do it again. I think Paper Rex could be number two. Paper Rex could be number two for sure.
During the heater run that they had, after the heater run that they had, because they weren't on a heater the entire tournament. After the heater run, they still beat Team Liquid 2-0.
Yeah.
They took a map off Fnatic, and they beat Paper X in 5, which admittedly is Paper X with a sub. But that's them not having a heater, and they still had...
Okay.
They were the only team to win a map off Fnatic.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I think we can put them at 3 behind Paper X.
Sorry, are you saying that they beat Paper X without having a heater? I'm confused.
Yeah.
That entire run was a heater,
No, I don't agree. I don't think so. I think, to me, the EG heater was when they were winning 90% of their pistols and 70% of their bonuses. And then after their game against Loud, they were negative in pistols, and they were like way lower in bonuses. And they were just relying on their strats and their players being able to. I mean, still like the players being able to hit shots. If you want to talk about individual form,
isn't that just literally groups versus playoffs though that you're talking about? Like, but the quality
of teams.
I mean, like,
the quality
heater like mechanical skill. Like players go through like waves of like how they feel in the game.
Insane during groups, and it was insane during even the grand finals. Like
statistically, I feel like every player on that team was playing out of their mind throughout that entire tournament.
I'm happy with.
I think we all had the take that we didn't think they'd make finals again.
Because I think PaperX about something is I don't know. We haven't really discussed it too much, I don't think, reflecting on it, but PaperX doing what they did with a sub was insane, especially when you consider how core something was to this team, like in terms of just their entire playstyle, their identity with the comps that they played. So I think that they should be next in line to take Fnatic down off that throne, the pedestal that we put this team on. And then I think it's EG after that, because...
Okay. But then you're not listening to the scrim rumors, Bren, because EDG have been bodying people harder than PaperX allegedly in Pacific.
Yeah, okay, but I agree. I want EDG at 2. But
no.
I'm gonna get.
I don't think you can trust. You can't trust the scrims.
It's about compromise with negotiations. Listen, it's about with negotiations. You've got to compromise. You've got to meet in the middle somewhere. So I'm willing to accept PaperX 2, EG 3, EDG 4, but in reality, EDG 2. But EDG's probably at 4 for now. But just let it be known. I got asked to give predictions.
Why can't we exist in reality? Let's put them at 2.
No, PaperX with something is too. Come on, don't be silly.
I know.
I think I'm just too excited to watch PaperX play at this event as well. I mean, full strength PaperX are one of my favorite teams to break down because they attract the Zug crowd, like my clip did, where I was shouting about Valorant being an FPS game. That attracted just like the absolute bell curve of just the low end of the bell curve. And people are like, I've been saying this the whole time. Like, fuck strats, just lock Reyna and run it down. But PaperX actually have strats of it, but they just have a ton of confidence and know how to aim well and using it to a very high degree in their matches. Like there is nuance to it. I'm not saying throw thought out the window when you're playing Valorant, but that's what people took from that.
I love the bell curve.
Jet Reyna chamber every map, like just run it down every map. It's not what I was saying, but I don't know. Let's pull up the power rankings. I've immediately forgotten what
I feel like the problem with what we're doing is that we are so excited to watch a lot of these top teams again that NRG is just getting pushed down and down.
Dude, that's why I said I want to put them at number 2 almost, because I think they underperformed. They underperformed at Tokyo. EG probably overperformed.
It was the same performance that they had all year.
I think they played second this entire year. They've been a good team, but they haven't been a great team. They haven't been at the peaks that they were when they were playing in the chamber meta, where they were consistently, being a team that could punch for a title. I think this is the year where they can do some serious damage, but they don't look like they're in... I don't think they look like they're in the current state where they could take a title. I think they could make a decent run of a tournament.
And nothing that I've seen from NRG has convinced me that they're going to improve drastically in a specific area. Much different than how it was last year with Optic, where it was like every single tournament, I'm like, they're going to get so much better with this comp. They're going to get so much better with this idea of Victor on Neon, blah, blah, blah. It's not like that at all. It's like the things that I expect them to be good at, they're good at, but they're not incredible. The only thing that's their biggest strength is Finesse's calling, and I think that's what honestly beat them that game against Liquid. And if it wasn't for that, then,
Dude, I'm going to go against you right here, because I think they were always against the wall with these weird comp changes. Remember when Artis was playing Raze on Lotus and shit? And he's playing Killjoy on some of these maps. They had to go through that whole fucking Navi thing, right? Where they were just switching comps around too much. And then by the end of the season, they were honestly switching comps day by day in the playoffs just to get wins. They had hardly any reps. They were always playing a match, right? They finally have time off to cook shit. And I truly think their mechanical form was also down in Tokyo, and they still placed high. I think there's so much upswing potential for NRG in this tournament, but obviously they could fall flat. They could cook some dog shit comms.
I'm just thinking back, and I was so impressed with NRG in their win over EG. I think they absolutely dismantled them, and I don't know where that NRG is, and I don't know what it takes for that NRG to come out. Is it just based on, because I feel like some of those maps were just based on having reads, like Ascent in particular. If you go back and watch their defense, they were getting aggressive with Crashies and Ardis every round on defense. They had a different play that they would make in a different area of the map that was based off the Sova and Jet, and he just tore them to pieces. And then on, I can't exactly remember Lotus as much, but I do remember Split. They were just hammering, I think it was a ramp control over and over and over again on their attack side, and completely dismantled what EG were trying to accomplish.
I mean, they've always been good in those situations where they've
but does that
familiar
extend,
opponent.
Right? Is it just about the opponent being familiar? Because I didn't get that from them at Tokyo. At Tokyo, I got like a team that's getting through a lot of other teams that are slumping. They didn't. I mean, they beat DRX and Liquid in playoffs, neither of which I'm particularly high on. Yeah, they lost to Fnatic. Yeah, but that's fine, I think. And then in the group stage, who did they beat? Oh yeah, Navi and T1.
And T1
Which, again, I'm not high on either of those teams either. I don't think they had an impressive win at Tokyo.
I think Navi overperformed in the game against them, which made that game look a lot closer than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was close.
I don't know what to think about them, though, because, yeah, I think they can step up, but it requires them to have a very good read on their opponent.
Kurt just cooked stuff in the background. How did this happen?
How is Loud not in here yet?
Yeah,
that's just how
Loud has to be out.
I don't know.
Pull them out.
Like,
we're frauds.
Pull them out. Let me look at the other teams.
If we don't put Loud in the top
Loud
6, I'm
absolutely
gonna
needs to
freak
be
out.
up there. Yeah,
I mean, they have to be above DRX.
They're literally probably winning champions.
Also, we have to veto this.
They're not winning champions.
They're literally gonna win. They're gonna fucking win. I'm telling you now.
They're not winning champions.
They're winning.
Fnatic's the best team to put a bet on.
This is the best version allowed right now.
DRX getting locked to 7 is so goddamn troll. Go.
Yeah.
Can we see the teams? My little brain can't visualize.
No. We can't veto it. It's for the content. You can't veto it.
Yeah. Because TMV did it.
Okay, can we talk NRG and get them locked in first before
I think NRG at 5 is good. I like NRG at 5.
This is okay. This is okay. The only thing I have a big qualm with right now is that Team Liquid is not here, but I think we're fucked out there. Like, we're fucked no matter what.
No, dude, Team Liquid, whoa. We're having disagreements here. You think Team Liquid's in the top 10?
I think so.
Yeah, of course they're in the fucking top 10, Bren.
So.
There's no way. How have they just miraculously ended at 8? Okay, scroll down, Kurt. Hold on. Pull them out. Pull them out.
How do you not have them in top 10? I mean, I guess we have to fill out the rest of this to have this argument, but come on, man. There's so many teams that are a lot lower.
DRX are way too high up here.
DRX are way too high. I have DRX
here.
at 11 in my own personal.
Yeah, I think DRX is too high.
Okay, should we? We have not put Loud in the right place. Surely. You either believe the scrim rumors and put them lower than 6th, or you believe the evidence of what they've done at Lock-In and, the former team at Champs, and you believe that they're going to be able to rebound, and you put them higher than 6th.
Okay.
6 is just a middling nothing argument. It doesn't do anything.
But isn't that the
you've
right
convinced
place
me
for
that
them?
makes no sense.
6 is the right place for them.
I think 6 is the right place for them.
No, you guys are trolling. Josh's argument is perfect. He's saying you either believe that they have good fucking talent and they're going to be good and they're going to be fucking amazing and you have to put them higher, or you believe that they're ass because of everything that's going on in the back scene and what we saw at Tokyo. You can't be in between.
Well, I think they're going to make it out of the group.
I think they can.
Stop thinking about the groups. We're power ranking. Stop thinking about the groups.
Okay.
I think they still have great players. I think they could beat a lot of the teams below them just running like base defaults. But I know they won't even do that. Like, I know Fraud is the type of coach to cook up like a bunch of new shit. And I know they've been working on a lot of fundamental stuff. And I don't think they would lose some of the games.
Let's be clear. They also lost to EG and EDG at Tokyo, both of which we're ranking in the top 4.
Yeah. They were both on giga heaters. Like,
right,
I think
Josh, you just ruined your argument. Now they can be in 6. Now that you said that.
That's why.
So you
that's
can
why
be-
they're 6.
You can be high on them, but still put them in 6th because they lost to those teams. Is that the argument now?
Yeah. And they're
But
definitely
do
not
they not
better
have
than
to just be
Fnatic.
above NRG? Like, if you're going to take that middling approach,
No.
they've performed better than NRG during the regular season.
I think
they've
recently,
been
but recent
deeper
form,
at
NRG
locking.
have just looked better.
But they haven't looked better enough to
Yes, they
be.
have.
Only if you're taking literally just Tokyo.
Yes.
I don't know. So
What else am I going to take?
Energy 2-0'd them in the regular season. Then they got 3-0'd by them in the finals. But it wasn't really
We
for
don't
anything.
have anything
so
to go
who
off here.
cares?
There's no.
All right,
Well, you haven't been
Put 'em
sitting
at
on the
6th.
scrims.
put them at 6th.
You have to just base it off of the last thing that we've seen of them.
Okay.
NRG are better
Okay.
than Loud right now. I would say that with my chest. DRX should
All
not
right,
be
now-
at 7. This is just they are a blight
Yeah,
on my
DRX
eyes
is-
right now. Yeah, Crew on 8.
No,
I think Crew,
no.
Crew at 8. 100%.
No. Okay.
We're up here. Yeah.
I think Liquid needs to be 7. DRX
Liquid,
8.
we need to start talking about
Why
Liquid
are you
for
guys so
sure.
high up on Liquid? Am I just
I'm
a
not
hater?
high up
won
on
it.
Liquid.
They won
is
EMEA.
They
This
won
is
EMEA.
eighth, Brent.
EMEA is a fraudulent region. Like, they are filled with absolute nothing teams, man. Winning EMEA means shit. Like, it's actually... EMEA is a minor region at this point.
They beat
Winning the EMEA
Fnatic.
means you beat Fnatic.
They
Fnatic,
beat
Fnatic
Fnatic,
is like the
dude.
only good thing to come out of EMEA in a long time.
Dude, they're the only team to
That's the
ever.
argument,
They're
bro.
the
They're
only
just like-
team to
they're-
ever beat Fnatic.
But
But
Fnatic,
also Fnatic.
they're having an
Also,
off day.
Fnatic had a. They
All
were
right,
having a very.
Hold
off
on.
day.
I have a way to solve this. Bren, you have in your mind an automatic negative ranking of EMEA teams. How much is that number?
Hold on, no. I need to see. I need to see the visual Photoshop diagram because I can't
Okay.
visualize this.
What is the number that you automatically like? If we put Navi here on 10th, what would you say? You would say 14th or what? -4?
No, I think Navi might have higher peaks than Team Liquid.
What the fuck? That's not answering my
No,
question.
you're trolling.
No,
No,
genuinely.
at the
I
moment.
think if you give them a bit
Not at
more
the
time, I
moment.
genuinely think they would look better than Team Liquid.
No.
No,
Not right
I
now.
think you're forgetting all of the. I think you've got Karmine Corp brain going
Dude,
on.
I
think-
was
no, I think
thinking
Brent's
about
got
that. I
trolling.
remember losing my
You have
mind.
brain.
I remember losing my mind at Tokyo, watching Team Liquid play and thinking, my God, they are just not playing up to the peak that they showed in the EMEA finals.
Yes,
oh no, I've
that's
fallen for a
absolutely
fraudulent
true.
team again. Oh no, I've
True.
given over my heart, my belief, my soul to this team, thinking that they were going to show me something more, and instead they squander it. They shit on it. They shit on it, Josh. They shit
Yes.
on it. And
So-
I'm so
Brent,
tired
they
of this,
still
Josh.
almost
I'm so
beat
tired of this.
NRG. They still almost beat NRG.
Brent?
It was literally overtime. They choked. That's all it was.
They beat
Brent is literally
EDG.
siding with the Brim Neon Cypher comp on Lotus. I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it.
That's the thing, Brent. Team Liquid, when they beat Fnatic, were like all the way up here. They played incredibly.
Yep.
And then when they play, usually they add so much dumb shit
Inconsistent.
in there that it drags them
Inconsistent.
down. Yeah, but they're inconsistent on a round by round basis. They still show you the brilliance in a lot of their games. They'll show you flashes of brilliance, moments of it, and that'll still win them games against a lot of teams here. And as long as Redguard doesn't TP into the enemy team on a regular basis,
He's going to do that.
He's going to do
One
it.
out
He
of
will do- he's
one out
gonna
of
do that.
24 rounds.
He's going to do
And
that.
you'll remember it forever because it's the most ludicrous play in the world, but it won't matter as much as you remember it.
See, here's the thing. When Redguard ints, I've come around to Angel inting. Because the direct comparison is Angel inting on Omen as well. There's parallels there to them when Redguard does it and Angel does it. But when Redguard does
Different
it,
type
it
of
feels like he's just getting a Twitter clip. When Angel does it, he's setting up the rest of his team. That's the difference of what I
Yeah.
feel. Redguard takes incredibly high risk, low reward plays, whereas Angel ints usually when he has a player behind him that knows he's going to be able to play off the space. That's in most instances. Whenever I
I'm
see
going to
Angel
stop Redguard
int,
from doing this, though. I'm going
I
to
don't
stop
think that's
Redguard.
possible.
how?
I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to buy like a tray full of kittens, baby kittens. And I'm going to show Redguard the baby kittens, and every time he makes a play
don't
like
say
that,
this.
Don't do
Well,
it.
just stop
Don't
here.
do this.
you know where I'm going though.
Yeah, I know
And
exactly
he's
where you're
gonna
going. And
stop.
don't utter these words
gonna-
on our PG-13 podcast.
He's got a heart of gold, and he would never allow harm to befall those kittens.
Okay, yep.
And so all I need to do is threaten it.
Plat Chat does not. We
And he'll be
condone
fine.
any form of animal violence.
No,
not the kittens!
Not the kitten.
No.
See?
God.
See?
Redguard.
He won't dare make a play. He won't fucking dare make a play.
Oh my god.
Oh. Okay, I don't care enough about Liquid to argue over this. You guys can put it
think
wherever
it's
you
good.
want.
I think they should be in 8th. I think it's them and then like Crew probably, right?
Yeah, well,
Like,
I mean, yeah,
the more
especially-
Brent talks, the more I'm kind of siding with him. I think he's right. I think you're cooking with the whole Angel comparison. Like as a CS IGL, I think a lot of the bonehead plays Angel makes, he does it from a place of like trying to set up his team and figure out a rotation and like make a call. But when I watch Redguard make these plays, are fucking wild sometimes.
Yes,
Like,
but
there's no reason
also,
to do them.
but the rest of the game, Liquid are setting up really good things a lot of the time that you're ignoring. Whereas
Yeah.
most of Navi's game doesn't have that level to it.
And why are we focusing on Redguard? Dude is easily like one of the like worst players
Let's talk about Safe.
in some of the top 10 teams. Let's talk about fucking Safe.
Yeah,
That
Safe
guy is
is the goat.
crazy.
Yeah,
He's
Safe is the goat.
insane. Nats, he's
Yompy.
crazy. The dude just
Yompy's
lurks in
insane.
every single Cypher cage and every single Viper orb and kills all your team randomly. Like it's just crazy what they can do. Team Liquid is good. They're good. They're not great.
Yeah.
They're not going to win. They're not going to win champs. But they're ranked 8th, Brent. It's okay.
I think
it's going to be
Navi.
fine.
I think Navi are better than them.
I think if I think
can't
you
get on
think
board
that.
with this at the moment.
Okay, do you think that if Sulcus is playing super well, because Sulcus is actually like insane. Like I've seen how he plays normally, like in scrims and in a lot of these matches, but in high pressure moments, I worry for Liquid because I think like he is the key factor for that team.
Yeah, if Sulcus
Like, I
is playing
really
well,
trust
I
the
think
other
they're better
three.
than Navi. But so far, Navi have shown that the form hasn't slipped on any of the individual players. Shao and Sugetsu are incredibly consistent when it comes down to just them alive in final moment rounds. Zipan is finally on Raze and he's dominating. CNET on the Jet, he's a Jet one trick, but whatever, they work around it. And Angel is purposefully inting. There's method to the madness. There's method to the madness.
You've somehow
when I watch Liquid
into they're the 4th best EMEA team, and you've somehow
on
cooked
paper,
your way
yeah, sure,
into-
on paper, but
No, based on their recent results.
I'm telling
based
you, give
on
them a bit more
everything
time.
they've done this year, apart from
but
Lock-in.
it took them a while, but they finally got there.
They haven't got there.
They have.
They
They've
were
got
second
there with
in
the
LCQ
comms.
behind
With the comms.
Giants.
I've seen evidence of it, man. They swap around the roles.
They
Everyone practiced
played
it.
the Jet Rays on split for the first time in their match.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm saying they don't have the
Yeah,
reps
I'm
on it. You
not
can
buying-
see that
I'm
in the
not
way that
buying
they
Navi.
call. But Angel's still calling very good ideas on the map. He knows how to condition effectively
no,
with his
stop,
calling.
stop,
His
stop,
IGLing,
stop,
I think,
stop.
is better as a whole than Redguard's. And I think I see too much inconsistency.
There's
no
Kurt,
way.
You're spitting.
There's no
That
way.
shit just left. Yeah, he's lost faith in you as a fucking
I'm gone,
duo.
bro.
There's
I'm
no
gone.
more. Dude, there's so much inconsistency with Liquid players. Save, I think, plays it to a very high level as well. But I think if you have the whole team performing really well, excellently, sure, Liquid beat them. But I think where it currently stands, I would have more faith in Navi to beat Liquid. And I think...
All right, okay.
be better than them.
So, all right. So Navi are in 8th. That means we've got to rank Foot and Giants above them. So we need to make space for those. So let's kick Loud and NRG out.
No.
Let's put Crew up there as well. And you know what? I feel like Laz is playing really well too. So let's put ZETA Division at number 1.
You know what's
I
fucking great
forgot
about this?
Foot.
This is the first matchup in their group. It's Navi versus Team Liquid at Champions.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
They
amazing.
dodged
What do we do with
Navi in the
Foot,
LCQ.
guys?
With the exception of the finals, but the finals don't count. For Giants.
Sean desperately trying to move us on to another point.
Yeah,
What
okay,
do we do with Foot?
I don't know. I don't know.
I honestly don't know where to put
I'll
them.
give you my
one
perfect
above
power
Navi, I'm
rankings.
not
I can
gonna
give you
lie.
my perfect power rankings right now.
They're
Navi
gonna
8.
perform worse than Navi.
Navi 8. Crew
You're
9.
trolling.
Liquid
Wow, he's
10.
doing Liquid so dirty.
Just do it to show. Do it for the viewers real quick.
Giants 11.
Keep going. Stop pausing. Let's go. Fucking chop, chop.
I need the other teams. Can you scroll down? I need to look at them. I need to look at the logos.
T1 Zeta, FPX, Billy. Let's
think
go.
then
One we're playing
Foot.
fairly well.
What if we work our way up from the bottom here?
All right. FPX, Billy. At bottom, sorry. From the
At the
bottom.
bottom.
like
Yeah.
you said.
FPX,
Yeah.
Billy at the
Yeah.
bottom.
FPX and Billy.
Okay, I agree there.
Navi, Foot,
No.
T1,
No.
DRX,
Then it's
No.
Giants,
T1, then
Crew,
it's
Zeta,
Zeta.
Loud, EDG, NRG, Team Liquid, EG, Piperex, Fnatic.
This is my
Because
perfect
Arden's already
bracket.
done his.
This is my perfect. Sorry, not my perfect bracket. My perfect power ranking. This is it.
No, this is okay. You've underrated T1, I think here. I think T1
underrated Zeta.
Yeah, I have underrated
yeah,
T1.
to a
Let's
small
so
degree.
now
And
you
also
guys fix
Liquid.
it. Fix my problems.
Okay,
All
I
right.
would say I don't expect much from Foot. I was disappointed with their performance at Tokyo.
Yeah.
I think they had a flash from EMEA where they individually played quite well and have some unique ideas, but if you play a default game, you're going to be able to get past them.
I think Foot is better than Navi actually, but in terms of what I expect from them at Champions, and this has nothing to do with groups, it just has to do with the fact that they're going to a major LAN. I don't have faith in them, so I'd put Navi above them as well, just based off of that. Giants is above both. Yep. And I'd mix in some
T1 above
Pacific
Foot?
teams here.
Dude, I think T1 have been playing fairly well. Like, I thought they played all right. They belong somewhere in this group.
I agree.
Like 10 to 13, but I'm not exactly sure where.
I think they would play
I
a
think
really
it's really
close game
hard.
with Giants. They would play a super close game with Giants, I think. And Crew. I think T1,
I think
Crew,
Crew
and
would slap
Giants
them.
are like all at the same level in my eyes.
Yeah, I like this. You're cooking. Perfect.
Are they
I kind of
worse
like
than
it. I kind of like
Giants?
this,
Yeah.
actually.
And
Zeta above Foot.
yeah, I think
Although-
Zeta are above Foot as well.
Do we
I mean,
think
Zeta do
Crew
not
is
have
better?
as deep as a map pool as Foot.
Do we think Crew is better? I feel like
Yeah,
they
maybe
got like
we're
the home
underrated
field
for it.
advantage of being in LA. Like, they're going to...
Dude, why are we? There's no way Navi's at 14.
I'm fucking with it.
They're already
There's
here.
no-
Like,
no,
Foot-
fuck
no,
with
I
it. There's
can't
no-
fuck
there's no
with
way.
that.
No.
Not
That's
swapping
too
Foot and
low.
Navi. Yeah,
That's
no.
too low. That's
Kurt
too
hates Navi. It's crazy. I've never heard Kurt like every time I put a topic in the Renner show, he's like, "Do we have to talk about
The
Navi?"
thing is, I've never seen a team with so much success have so little fans in esports history.
It's a very good point.
That's just like most EMEA teams, though.
That's not true.
What do you mean?
To be fair, Kurt, if you watch the K Corp Navi game, the Navi fans were actually louder than the K Corp fans somehow. Crazy.
At the arena?
Yep.
That's just
I mean-
like 100 people.
True.
Out of
But also,
the
why
population
were the
of the
K-Corp fans so
world.
quiet?
I don't know.
They got a new team to cheer for, M8.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. That's like actually so fucking... I can't even believe that at the All-Friendship. I can't believe they won.
Yeah, it is crazy. So
Why were they not on K-Corp? What's going on?
we're
Right, what are we
bringing that
doing
one
with
up
power
again. We're
Hey,
bringing that
Josh
one
is
up again with his
cooking
team
something.
form.
I'm not cooking necessarily. I'm just thinking, have we underrated Foot here?
No.
Because
Yes,
they're-
no.
Yeah, I think we have. I
It's
think they got a
so
better map
tough.
pool than Zeta Division.
Yeah.
But the way that Foot plays Valorant is so backwards. It's so
What?
backwards.
No, it's not.
It is. It's literally backwards.
In what way?
They on
I'm
every
curious.
map they have their players in opposite positions that you would normally have people on the defense side. They have their Sova hard anchor A and their KO hard anchor B on
Okay,
Ascent.
because they don't
on
conform to the
Split.
blueprint model that Leviatan has
No.
imprinted into your brain.
No, it's not.
You think they're
it's
a
not
bad
just that.
team.
No, it's not. And I'm not saying that they're a bad team. What I'm saying is that they have really odd, funky ideas, and I really liked them heading into Tokyo. They were one of the most impressive teams, I think, in terms of taking a weird, quirky way of playing the game and making it work. And I was just looking back at their results and trying to remind myself of how they performed, and it was really quite disappointing.
It was so bad at Tokyo.
I mean, the
bro.
game against ASE and the game against
my
DRX,
fuck-
both
oh
of
my-
those games were
Oh.
so poor.
ends me on
Yeah.
both of those accounts.
And then
y'all.
also, I'm thinking if Foot just went on a bit of a form run towards the end of EMEA to be able to get their spot, then they're one of the teams that are least likely to be in form now. Because if you take one of the teams that have come out of LCQ, it's really not that long. Like, it's 2 weeks later, they have to play their first game.
Yep.
So for a team like Crew, even if you think it's all just based on form, even if you don't buy any of the stuff that we've been talking about like their strats looking clean and bringing new ideas, if you just think it's Kesnit and Klaus popping off or whatever, well, they're probably still going to keep that up 2 weeks from now. Whereas Foot, really, might not. So I'm trying to justify in my head whether I'm being too low on them or whether it's justified. And I think it's justified, but
it's
I'm not
justified.
sure.
In fact, I would put Billy above them.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not trolling.
Wiz is going to whiz on him?
Yes, he will. And also,
I haven't watched the
Foot
Chinese
played
games yet.
against a much worse Chinese team in ASC, and they almost lost.
I just hate Foot's
God, that
comps
might- yeah.
so much. I hate their comps so much. I feel like they're gonna change them all. Like they're
No, they
blind. I
won't.
don't like.
They have a KO one trick. They can't change their
pretty
comps. He
tied to
doesn't play
cracks playing
anything
KO.
else.
They play
They
a
are pretty tied to
Gecko on
that.
Haven. Like, bro, that went so bad for them.
Gecko and Haven was cooking when Arsenal was playing it.
Yeah, they did. They
But
made it
Cracks
work.
doesn't play it as well.
Yeah.
What kind of
Split, they
They
run
got
a
some
solo
interesting
jet. Like, God, dude, their comps are so shit. What is this? Their Neon's hopping on Lotus, but that's like literally their best map. Maybe.
Yes,
I
it is their
think-
best map.
I think this entire power
Santos
rankings has been giga trolled by DRX being this high.
Of course. Of course, but we can't say anything. We just have to ignore it and
Okay, well,
wait for the people in the comments to be like, what the fuck is DRX doing this low? These guys don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, if you really wanted to put DRX somewhere, where would they be? Because I think they're around like the
You want my actual notes here?
actual point.
11.
Yeah, I think they're around there.
I think that's about right.
They're
11
in
to
this
13.
group.
We can't move
But
them.
here's
though,
the
Kurt.
thing about DRX is definitely going to bring up some like crazy cooked ass strats that are going to catch a team off guard.
DRX's coach was saying the fans should not worry when we get to Champions. Our entire year is built around getting Foxy the experience he needs to go crazy at Champions. We have a long-term vision. Stick with us. We're going to be fine at Champions. Meanwhile, we're predicting them to go fucking 0-2, and they're going to blame the fact they had a hard group.
Well, specifically because I hear these comments from his coach. Bro, Termi is the equivalent of Josh on Plat Chat as a coach. Anytime that guy says something, the opposite is going to fucking happen. It's just, that's how Termi is.
Yeah,
Except
I just
Termi's
don't
in
believe.
control. I don't control the
How
results.
can you say with a straight face we have a long-term vision? Foxy 9's going to be set up for success and champs, and then not playing in any playoff matches?
And all the while, he's sitting in his fucking office and just shitting on his contract.
Yep, and
keep
splitting.
even-
Not only have you giga trolled by also not giving him that experience. If you did have a long-term vision, you've also been running two essentially different rosters because you have to swap the roles out so much every time you sub Foxy 9 out and swap it completely around that nobody is really well versed on your setups. Nobody is well versed on the protocols that you're running, and you're essentially halving the amount of good practice you get when you do that. Because if you're running two different fucking variations on it, there's going to be some instances where people know where they're supposed to stand, how they're supposed to throw the util, but you're just setting yourself back all the time. DRX are painful as a team. They are fucking painful the way they've ran this shit. Apparently Termi's contracted until 2026. God help Korea as a region. God help Korea as a region, man.
It's over.
Shut up.
They need the Overwatch League to die so that all of the new Korean talent comes in and they can get a new breath of fresh air.
To be fair, that's everybody too, except for Buzz and Foxy 9, who are on 2024 and 2025.
Dude, Josh, you literally think Loud and DRX are both going to lose their opening match, and they play each other. They play.
I would put a tier break after
Can we get some
Fnatic.
tier rankings in?
Yeah,
Okay.
I put a tier break after
after each
Fnatic. I think Fnatic are like
Yeah, I think that's
Yes.
pretty good.
Okay, sure.
like undisputed right now, should be favorites to make it to the grand finals and win it all. And then after
There's
that,
got
I
to
would
be
say
another tier break.
after,
Under 5.
After 5.
DRX are in their own tier.
I think Loud
Yep.
should not be
Yep,
in
you're cooking,
the
Kurt.
NRG
You're
tier.
cooking.
Wait, what the hell is happening?
Loud should not be in the NRG tier.
No.
Actually, yeah, I'm good with this.
I don't think
I'm
Loud
good
should
with
be in the
this.
same tier as NRG. I think there should be a
No.
tier.
No. Every team is just in their own tier.
That tier break is so troll. That makes no sense.
Put a tier break. Put a tier break after NRG. Put a tier break after NRG, please.
No.
Please,
No, but the
please,
whole
please.
point about Loud is we don't know if they're going to perform a lot better than 6.
Right, so they exist in the void. They exist in their own place. Put them in their own
Well,
tier.
then put them in the same tier as DRX.
What the fuck is happening? I
that's
look
true.
down because Emery is waking up from her nap, and I just see tears everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of tears
What just
going on.
happened?
Okay, I think there's a tier that exists where it's Giants, T1, Navi, and
I think 8 to 12 all go in one tier. What do you think about that? Liquid,
Yeah,
lump them into.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But
I like 8 to
doesn't
12.
Zeta belong in that tier as well? I think.
I think Zeta have too limited of a map pool. They got two of their bans in the grand finals, and they still look like they didn't have a clue on 2 of the maps that they played.
Had some time to add one.
Ascent was tragic from them, with Laz playing the Cypher and them trying
No,
like
that's not
force the raise.
tragic. That's fucking goated, actually. I love it.
They really struggled on their execs. They didn't have mollies for the smokes, and they were getting abused by that so hard.
Yeah, but they were boombotting instead and nading instead. And Laz had some goated trips that were so hard to break after, like, if you got them set up, your post plan was fucking set for life.
Tripping for like,
It's not like everybody should be playing this comp, but it is a fucking cool ass gimmick.
But what do you think about a split attack side?
Fine. The executes are fucking amazing. In fact, I'm gonna steal them from Premier.
They're very readable. Laz, whenever they go for big executes, you know they're doing it because Laz will set his Viper wall up for it. Every time.
I don't think that's true.
He does the lurking wall like most of the time, but when they start around with the core idea of doing a big execute, he'll save his Viper wall and then do it in a straight line on either side. And then you immediately know. I'm sorry to just anti-strat Zeta immediately, but they're just they.
I mean, that's not necessarily. It's a tell, but like you still have to rotate in time to like.
Yeah.
You know, you're throwing it at the beginning of the round, and then your executes coming in, and the executes are very good and much different than some of the other stuff. The only big issue I have with Zeta right now is that 10 is a decision-making failure.
I mean, I mean, 10 has been bad for a while, actually.
He has great mechanics.
By him playing Raze more.
His decision-making is just horrible.
But Bren's brought up a really good point. They only played Haven once in LCQ. They got whacked on it, and they didn't play Pearl a single time, and then they banned it in the finals. This team might just be...
I think they need to find a way to force Chamber on every map, otherwise they're toast, genuinely. Because the reason they look so good when they run the Chamber, we were discussing it earlier, is because Laz feels much more comfortable, confident, and proactive. He just actually will take risks, he'll take space. When he's playing Viper, he doesn't a lot. He genuinely, they just sit and wait. They sit and wait. And they don't really have him to make a play and create an opening for them to then play off of. But when they play Chamber, that's why they look so different, and that's why they look like they have all these different looks. I think we're kind of being baited into it a little bit more. I think the best thing for Zeta Division is trying to find a way to make it work.
I mean, it's not like we're going to move them down the rankings very much.
I don't know.
No.
I don't think there's any tiers. I mean, this was about a tier break.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's a justifiable tier break between 12 and 13, because could NAVI lose to one of these teams? Yes. I've seen
for
some
sure.
Why don't we just remove this tier break and we just have a big 8 to 16?
I think we have to.
Just 8 to 16.
I think we kind of have to.
Yeah, this is good.
Anything can happen around here.
So I don't think there'll be a single team that goes out of this tournament without a map win. I think every team is going to get a map win.
That is a hot take.
I think it is, right? But I was looking at the groups.
I think you have to look at the groups for this.
Right. And so I looked at the groups, and a lot of the teams that, like, the big teams clash or the bottom teams clash. And so the teams that we have at the bottom, like the Chinese teams of FPX and Bilibili, Bilibili gets to play against Zeta, and FPX gets to play against Foot, in theory, right? Unless there's major upsets that happen. And I think they can take a map in both of those situations, even if they lose.
I have less faith in Bilibili, but FPX, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know who's
Zeta
going to get
not
knocked out
having
of
a great
Group
map
D, but I feel like whoever gets knocked out of Group D could be that team.
Right, but if you don't know who it is, then you can't, like, be super confident that that's the case, right? You're just kind of banking on one of the teams not being in form. And the
Are we just judging your hot take right now, or what's going on? What the fuck is the point? Like, let's finish this power ranking.
Yeah, I think we're done.
I thought we were finished. Are we not done?
I think we're done, right? We're finished? It's a wrap.
Are we sending it?
It's finished.
I hate it.
Lock it in. Yeah, I always hate the power rankings. They suck.
Every time I love it.
Oh, do we take a picture?
No, we don't.
No, this is just for people taking screenshots.
Okay.
This is our stamp of approval.
Yep.
I was literally on VLR looking at the groups, by the way, and the threads pop up on the side. One of them says, what was it? Like, try to guess Plat Chat power ranking. And it's just other people listing the teams 1 to 20, trying to guess what we're going to list them 1 to 20.
Bren based, it says, Plat Chat foot take.
I mean, I don't know what any of these are, and I'm not about to go scrolling through VLR
Yeah, I have no idea.
for people making comments
fair,
on what we're talking about.
Yeah, of course not. But if we gave any publicity to this recent discussion tab, the forums, VLR would just become suddenly a great place.
Yeah, we
Our
would
chat would
inject
infest VLR with just awesomeness.
No, they would try to troll and get on the screen, like as Kurt was refreshing.
Yep.
They'd be trying to reply to the top comment with some like horrendous shit.
Is it justified? Is it justified? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to the Turkish fans. I really am, because I feel like I might just be like underrating the team enormously. I think there's not a great chance that they get out of groups, but if they upset T1, there actually might be. Like it's within Foot's power to get out of the group, even though we've rated them so lowly, because they have the easiest group by far.
Well, that's gonna wrap up almost all of the segments. We got one more left, and I haven't. Have you got anything for this, Kurt? His Wyatt's Weekly Award.
No, but let's run it.
It's Wyatt's Weekly Award.
The trust fall.
So good. Who do we give it to?
Should we each nominate somebody? I feel like there's some nominees.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
I want to start with Adam, the coach for Crew.
Oh, I was like, who the fuck is Adam?
Atom.
Yes.
Atom. Yeah.
And Adam.
Coach for Crew.
I
Thoughts?
second that, but I guess I need to come up with another nomination anyways.
You do.
Okay.
Let's all sit here in silence.
Holy shit, this is crazy. Wow.
Anyone else?
This is where I'm usually the one that comes up with the Wyatt's Weekly Award.
Kurt,
but I
what do you
didn't
think?
have time. I like
Kurt.
Adam, but we gave it to a Crew player last week. Did we give it to
I think
Adam?
we gave it to Kesnet, didn't we?
Oh, we gave it to
last week.
Claus, I think.
Oh, was
Maybe
it Klaus?
It was someone on Crew. I forgot.
Dude, I mean, yeah, it might have been Klaus, but holy shit, like Kesnet also does he not deserve
Ooh, I have a good one.
Let's
the weekly award?
The Wyatt's Weekly Award that I nominate is to Cruz, because he got hurt. Sadness. Feel better, Cruz.
Oh, he's playing badminton as well. Absolute
yeah, I
king
saw
shit. King shit badminton fan.
This guy loves badminton.
That is That's pretty crazy. I think I might go. Who would I say? Someone from Riot who decided to do the group draw. Maybe just go with
Victoria.
Victoria. Yeah.
Yeah, Victoria.
She did it in one take. It
Yeah,
went
that's
from the
madness.
desk.
That's crazy.
It was actually insane.
Especially
like honestly,
given that
I watched it.
You have to literally like know exactly what the adjustment that is about to happen is, and she has to keep track of it. I don't know. If she's keeping
I don't know
track of it
how
in her
they
mind,
managed
but-
Dude, that was an impressive one take. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how she pulled it. I was trying to keep track of the groups in my head when I was watching it, and I was like, I have no idea who's in
Well,
what
to be
group.
fair, you have to do it in one take, otherwise it's the entire situation is fucking rigged.
Otherwise everyone says it's rigged. So she nailed it. So I'm giving it to her because that shit was crazy.
You could also give it to the Spanish community, because they had like, what did they have? They had 10 players that speak Spanish in the Americas LCQ, and then the top performing player from EMEA LCQ, Fatinho, was also Spanish. I mean, it's been a nutty week to be Spanish, apart from the fact that Koi lost. Otherwise, it would have been
pretty good
utterly
shout, too.
goated. Yeah, to be a Spanish speaker, not to be Spanish, I suppose. But yeah.
Kurt, what do you think?
I like the last two. I like Victoria and also the Spanish speaker. But I'm learning Spanish right now. I'm on my 30-day Duolingo streak as of today. So I'm sorry, Victoria. I'm sorry, Adam. It's going to
the
anyone
Spanish-
that knows
The
Spanish.
Spanish-speaking community.
Congrats.
You are the winners of the Wyatt Weekly Award. Episode 141.
Vamos.
Let's go.
Felicidades.
Gracias for watching.
Vamos.
Vamos. And with that, we are going to bid you adieu. Thank you very much, Sean, for joining us as well. Thank you for appreciate it every single time, bro. And we got to scrim at some point as well for our premiere.
Hell yeah, let's go.
When are we scrimming, actually? Real quick
I'm
before
down
we
tonight.
leave.
Are you playing, Josh? I don't know why we're doing the post-Plat Chat talk right now.
Yep.
I mean,
You're playing from the UK. All right, cool.
Yep.
We're gonna scrim?
On the West Coast.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's try and organize it. All right, bet. All right. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will see you next time. Next week, we're going to do our top 10 players heading into champs. It's going to be horrific. And I will see you then. Bye bye. Peace.